Welcome to the Couch Potato Sports Show, your internet radio home for all sports news and talk. Join Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, and the best co-host anyone can ask for, CUERVO. We cover it all from NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, as well as indoor football and high school sports. So let's do this. Here's Sonny Clark.
Let me add myself to the stream. All right, everybody, welcome into the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio here on our Sunday morning tradition that continues on into our 13th season. Hope everybody's having a great day, feeling good, getting ready for the rest of the weekend, getting ready to slide into next week as we get going. Cuervo's supposed to be here. He set the time, so hopefully he'll be here. Some announcements, obviously, as the high school football season is edging closer and closer. I'm getting excited about what's coming up here in just a few weeks, actually. August 25th, we will be set and ready to go as we are here, and we will be at Homer B. Johnson Stadium on August 25th for the season opener with the Coppell Cowboys, and this one's a really good one because to start the season out for the Saxe Mustangs, to get that good quality team to start the season will put them in a position that is going to be really, really good in reality when they move into the season and also within districts. Remember, 2 out-of-district games. The first one goes against the Coppell Cowboys. The other one goes up against Prosper, and that's going to be a good one as well. 2 games right out of the chute with 2 good teams right here to have the Saxe Mustangs start off with, and then right into the division games and things like that. As we're look at all these are the games that are going to be coming right behind me. Here's the schedule. Well, I'm not good at this green screen thing, but there's the schedule right there, and you can find all this information I'm going to be posting here within the next day or so, that situation as well. So interesting. Got something going on up here. We'll figure that out here in a moment. But hopefully everybody's having a great day, getting all set. And again, this should be really interesting as we get set and move to August 25th for that. And let me turn that off. There's some noise going on. Let's hit that button. Bang. All right. So we are back. So again, guys, don't be afraid. Don't miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun as the Saxe Mustangs are going to be taking on the teams within the Garland ISD. And so I'm excited about that coming our way. Having a little bit of green screen problem, which normally don't have. Yep, got some green screen problems. I guess we'll have to figure that out here somewhat within the show. We'll just leave it that way for right now. And, oh, no, it's not. It's this right here. Bang. So let's just slide that over. We'll get that right out of here and turn that sideways, and we'll be all set and ready to go. By the way, guys, lots of news coming out this week. We heard it. We saw it. And now the Panthers of the NFL are in a situation now where, guess what? They're going on to their, I'm not sure, it's like their 4th quarterback in 5 years or something like that, some crazy number right there as far as that is concerned. And I will tell you, there is something going on as far as that is concerned. The way all this is working out for them is not good. And I say that because the Panthers have spent so much money on the quarterback position in the last 5 years. It's unbelievable. Now, here we are, all set and ready to go. They're all ready to do it again. They're all ready to go out and spend money. They're all ready to go out and actually blow money. Sorry about that. That's probably the better way of saying it. Because this is not a good situation for them as they move forward. It just really isn't. That division of football can be gotten too, depending on what you think about where Tom Brady is within his career. It's not good at all. They have an opportunity to make a lot of noise. And I just don't think that they're in right now, especially going to desperation in reality and grabbing up Baker Mayfield. Now, say whatever you want about Baker Mayfield, okay? But I think he's okay for the Browns. Arguing back and forth on whether or not this guy's good, bad, or indifferent, I think is almost irrelevant when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are in a situation now. Now, depending on what you believe, depending on what you hear, depending what you believe on what you hear, especially about the Browns, they are supposedly, and I say supposedly, in the market for Jimmy G. But the idea is great. But there's a lot of things pulling the idea. Because this is a football team in reality that should have just stayed with what they had. This is a football team that regardless, and again, I said it last week and I'll say it again. This is a football team that can ill afford BS. This is a football team that does not have it to move forward, especially within the division of football they're in. Steelers, I don't know if they're going to be good, but you still got the Bengals and the Ravens. And depending on where one Lamar Jackson is for the Ravens, if he's somewhat healthy, that's something that they're going to have to dig into. That's something they're going to have to think about. It is something that will either make or break where they're at. And there is CUERVO. A great deal for the Carolina Panthers, yes. I just don't think, we're going to. Great deal for Carolina. Stay tuned to find out why from CUERVO. And right now, I'm so interested in what he has to say. But my theory, and I'm me looking on this situation as far as the Browns are concerned, not a great move. Now, what the Panthers, their situation, I don't know. Because you got Sam Darnold here. Now, granted, will Sam Darnold be there for the rest of the season? Will he even be there for the rest of training camp? Is there any interest in Sam Darnold from anybody? Listen, Sam Darnold has been into two places where the dedication of winning, just to be truthful and honest, is just not there. Look at the Jets and where they are. Then going to Carolina. But I'm telling you right now, one thing that needs to happen in Carolina, that offensive line is going to have to figure something out. Because the offensive line is a disaster. And you saw it last year. You saw Sam Darnold. If Sam Darnold gets any kind of protection, who knows what kind of quarterback that he can be. And he just has not had the opportunity throughout his career to have the quality that he would need in order for him to be successful. Now, depending on who you believe, again, they're going to go head-to-head for the starting role. But frankly, if you're the Panthers and you're going after Baker Mayfield, I got news for you. Baker's going to go ahead and do it. And you're right. They did draft offensive line. So what does that mean? Does that mean that Sam Darnold with some real protection on the offensive line, will that help them? Will it, or will it be something that's now going to be set up for Baker Mayfield to become successful? See, there's some quarterbacks that have been out there that have not been in a position to be successful. A guy's name that comes to mind is Josh Rosen. If you go back into the day, about 6 years ago, the first round draft pick in the Cardinals, and that was horrible. Then he bounced around a couple of places and he was nowhere. The sad thing about this is I think Josh Rosen had the opportunity to be a good quarterback based upon the team where he was going to go and whether or not they were going to protect him or not. I think Sam Darnold's a victim of the teams that just don't want to commit to winning. And we have seen it all over the place in the NFL. We've seen it with certain quarterbacks. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on today. But when teams are not bought completely in on what's going on, it's almost obvious the lack of foundation, the lack of dedication of having what you need to win, it just slaps you right in the face. And you can look at a team and go, well, that team sucks. And then there's some teams that go out and do some crazy things. Then there's some teams that have crazy fans that think their team is always in the running for the Super Bowl, but haven't been there for 25 years. You know, so there's a lot of things to look at regarding teams going into this. And by the way, guys, we're going to jump into this. At the end of July, beginning of August, we'll get CUERVO in here. We'll talk about when we're going to hop into this. But we're going to take a look at all the divisions of football. We're going to take a look at all the teams in the NFL, where they might land within based upon what we know at the time we're going to cover. Right now, there is a lot of, a lot of preparation now going into training camp for some teams where you're just like, where could they end up? What is their strategy going into this year? And one of them happens to be the Cleveland Browns. And when we get to the Cleveland Browns, when we talk about the AFC North and the NFC North, we're gonna have great debate, or at least great discussion. I don't know how much of a debate it can end up. But I'm going to tell you right now, the Cleveland Browns are in a lot of trouble unless they make the move that everybody's talking about, that I've been hearing about, which is the move to get to Jimmy G. So the fact they wanted someone to suck up Baker's contract, and yet you're going to go to Jimmy G, which, by the way, is no slouch. And, I'd rather have Jimmy G than Baker Mayfield, but you're going to spend more money on Jimmy G. And not to really bash Jimmy G in reality, but coming to the Cleveland Browns, when you're the Cleveland Browns and you're looking at Jimmy G, you're asking yourself, nothing. What has Baker Mayfield done for the Cleveland Browns for the 5 years? The 4 to 5 years that he's been doing what he's doing, he's made them relevant. And it makes me want to puke in my mouth that we're talking about the Cleveland Browns being relevant. They haven't been relevant for 20 years until Baker Mayfield came out there. So why are they doing this? And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But I will say this. Moving into the 2020 season, the Browns have got to prove it to Not just me, but just the fans, the Browns fans. How can you look at this season coming up as a Browns fan and go, man, I can't wait till kickoff? When you got Jacoby Brissett right now being the man. And those that don't know Jacoby Brissett, he's average at best. A lot of times less than average. He shows sparkles of greatness and then shows that he just might as well be back in college or playing for the USFL, for God's sake. Jacoby Brissett is not an NFL quarterback where you want to go into the season and go, oh, yeah, we got it. We got this. Jacoby Brissett, when you go into the season with Jacoby Brissett, you're going, man. Not only that, week number 1, you're going up against Baker Mayfield. It's just like, the soap opera is written here. And it just continues on and continues on and continues on. What a soap opera. I don't know, guys. It's going to be really interesting how this season goes with that. We're going to talk about that with CUERVO. But when I look at the Browns and what they did as a fan of football, I'm just, this is total BS. Liking what I see at all. Good, yeah. Talking about Jimmy G. But who's been on the verge of being in the Super Bowl or in the Super, Jimmy G. So lots of things to talk about. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to hop into our commercials. And then we're going to come back and talk about this. But it's really interesting to see where some people can be. We'll check it out. We'll find out about Jimmy G. Oh, Brissett. Well, yeah, okay, that was Brissett. I thought you were talking about Jimmy G because Jimmy G did stand in for Brady for a while. It wasn't for suspension. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna hop into the first break of the show. And then when we come back, we're going to hop back in this. I'm not sure where CUERVO or how long it's going to be before he gets in, but we're going to do that. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to start attacking this. Got a lot of NBA news I want to talk about, so I might start with that until I get CUERVO in. So we'll do that. Take the quick break here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. You're watching. That being said, we'll be right back.
At Wesson General Contracting Incorporated, we're your one-stop shop for all your general contracting needs. We are locally owned and with over 20 years of experience, so roofing, gutters, sidings, fence staining, painting, foundation problems, or roof damage are no problems at all. Give us a call at 214-200-5588. That's 214-200-5588. Wesson General Contractors.
The prospect of retirement can be exciting and scary at the same time. At Nest Egg Wealth Advisors, we have found many people either approaching or currently in retirement fail to truly maximize some of the benefits offered to them, primarily Social Security. What is it? How does it work? It's simply not a benefit that you start receiving at age 62. Because these decisions are so important, my firm has assembled an informational packet on Social Security. If you would like a complimentary copy of Social Security Maximization, please give our office a call today at 972-412-6064 or visit us on the web at nesteggadvice.com. At the Jerry Bullet Training Center, we are a motivated team of coaches with the mindset of helping you achieve and reach your highest goals. Having developed and trained over 100 Division I athletes as well as Division II athletes, even professional athletes, the Bullet team definitely has the knowledge and mindset that take you to the next level. Check out our new 22,000 square foot facility and 3,000 square foot weight room, along with 4,500 square feet of outdoor turf and covered training area, along with football and soccer field. Contact Melvin Bullitt at 214-326-7853 or visit their facility just outside of Waterview at 8900 Princeton Road in Rowlett.
Being taken for a ride? Check out Costo Insurance, serving Texans since 1981. Bundle your home, auto, or business insurance and save a ton. Costo Insurance on the corner of Main Street and Rowlett Road, where we make insurance fun. Or check us out on the web at CostoInsurance.com, where we always have the coffee pot on.
Yeah, but is it fresh?
Into the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, as we're here. On that being said, our Sunday morning tradition continues on. Hopefully we'll get CUERVO in here in a moment, and we'll be talking about a lot of things. But I'm going to start out. I'm going to start out here talking about this thing right here. Guys, I cannot wait until this one comes out. Now, we've seen a lot of the great documentaries that are out there. We've seen them, I don't want to say we've seen them all, but by golly, I think I've seen them all on any kind of good one or the ones that I want to see. But this one right here, and this one's coming to ESPN Plus as well as Netflix. Guys, if you don't have ESPN Plus and you want to watch some good stuff, you need to get ESPN Plus. One of my favorite things to do is to sit around when I got nothing to do, which is not often, or just listen to some of the stuff that is coming out of some of these documentaries that ESPN has put together. I just have to admit it. They seem to have it. They seem to have a good mindset. They get into things. They've been covering the sports for a long time, so they have access to a lot of the stuff that a lot of people don't have. And to get into the middle, and the guys and the people that were involved with it at the time, they can bring them in. So ESPN has a pretty good cornerstone on what's going on as far as the documentaries are concerned. And this one here coming up is going to tell a great big story. And the guys that don't have Kobe Bryant on their top 5, at least at number 5 or even better, you're not paying attention to who this guy was. Now, I'm just going to say it. I never was a Kobe Bryant. I didn't like him per se. But what I did like about Kobe Bryant is that there was balls to the wall all the time. This was a guy that brought it each and every night. As The Rock would say, bring it. He brought it. He was about the only one that knew how to bring it. And that is the reason why you take a look at Kobe Bryant. And if he's not in your top 5, you didn't watch this cat play. One of the best players that I've seen as far as this generation, a little bit before this generation of basketball, it's like the last guy that had any kind of sense of what this game is all about. Now, we can sit here and talk about, Sonny, everything is changing. Things are changing. You're getting old. You're just not paying attention. And we can do that, and we can talk that all day long. But when I look at Bron, I don't see it. I don't see Kobe Bryant. I don't see a guy that has got the stones to play the game the way Kobe Bryant played it. Whose fault is that? Is the new school of basketball. I was thinking the other day how great Adam Silver was doing this, but the more I'm hearing stories about Adam Silver being the commissioner of the NBA, the more I'm thinking it's taken away from the game and the history and what it's all about, especially with him wanting to shorten the season, guys taking nights off, guys that, should be in the lineup every single night, but they're not, premium games where they charge fans more because it's the Lakers or, the Celtics, which is crap. There's so much stuff within the NBA that I get why they're doing it. It's about the money, but geez Louise, can we put the money to the side sooner, a little bit sometimes? And let's talk about what the tradition of basketball is. Now, I know I'm never going to get it back to where I like it. I get it. I understand it. But the NBA is crazy. And here's one example right here is Kevin Durant supposedly lost confidence in the Nets front office. If you watched the show last week, this is what today's NBA is. And this is sad. Kevin Durant reportedly losing confidence in the team that paid him, who brought them to the team, and they just literally blew their nose with the millions and millions of dollars they paid this guy for the first year just not to even be there. And now this guy has it. I just saw a meme, and I didn't have time to get it up, but it was Michael Jordan talking about where the sense of today's player is the fact that they don't have loyalty to one team. Now, you can look and ask or think about that situation in a couple different ways. But what you can't do is really deny the fact that when Michael and all these guys, Kobe, the last part of it, they stayed on teams. Shaq went away, but Kobe, one team. Jordan, one team. Bird, one team. And the way Jordan put it out there, he says, this is ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. And why owners are letting players be where they are in their thinking that they run the roost, that's part of the problem. But we don't want to hurt these guys' feelings. They got feelings, and what they say, you got to listen to us because we deserve to be heard. It's just, and it goes along the words of why it's hard to watch. Kevin Durant should be thanking his lucky stars. This guy got paid the millions and millions of dollars, and he got paid to do nothing. I'm with Jordan. Where is the loyalty to the game? There are not too many of them out there right now to have that loyalty to the game. There are a few, though. How about this? Damian Lillard is about the only thing in Portland that anybody can talk about. They're going to pay this guy $61 million to play basketball. Now, I know him personally, know his brother Houston, who played indoor football. Nice cat, you know. Is this loyalty or just complete greed? I don't know. You can go to the Phoenix Suns and ask the same question. They're going to pay Devin Booker $50 million, 52, actually 53 and some odd, to play in Phoenix. Good, bad, or indifferent, these are just the numbers that are being thrown around right now. I don't know if that's good for the game at all, but I do know that in this day and age where you want to keep your guy, and what Jordan said, you know, is there a little loyalty? Well, we got some. Booker staying where he's staying and going there, but Zion is an unbelievable situation. And I was looking at our guy who comes on this show, and always, you know, it's during football season, one of the reasons why I do the show, you know, and comes in with the line of this. And he asked me the same question about this, and I'm telling you, okay, young people today, when they're figuring out who is good, are going to lean on BS. They're going to lean on one stat. They're going to go, well, look at this. The last time I looked at this game, this was an all-around thing. Yes, he did whatever he did, but really, has Zion really, how do you say, earned this contract? 193 million. And it does. It's just one of these things, and I see this contract.
Terrible. Crazy knucklehead are terrible.
It might be the dumbest contract in the NBA right now. You can get, I mean, listen, this guy doesn't play. I don't care of the one stat. The one stat generation is what I'm now going to start calling young people when they figure out whether or not a guy is good or not. Whether or not he's deserving of the money. The one stat guy. My God, can we stop it? Why can't they be great all around? Why can't at least they make an effort? Look at Stephen Curry, and I'll use him as an example. He may not be the best defensive player, but damn it, he tries. He put, you can see it. There's some guys that are not even doing it. They lean and they're stat readers, you know, and everything. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of looking at this kind of stuff and then someone saying this guy's great. Because I don't get it. Maybe it's me. Okay? But when I look at this guy, I don't even think he played in 2021. No, he didn't. This guy didn't even he didn't even play a game. So can we stop talking about how great Zion is? I mean, seriously. You think about this guy averaged only 7 rebounds a game in 2020. And he's your big man. Now, granted, I know he's 22 years old. I get it. I even to a point understand it. But when you're doing this, he's supposedly a power forward, and I've seen nothing but lack of commitment to the game. I've seen a lack of wanting to play the game. I've seen a lot of things that are crazy. And Todd, the question, why does Lillard stay loyal? $62 million is the reason why. But for Portland, that's what it needs to have to be. Because there's nothing left. They lose that cap. Portland goes back into oblivion of mediocrity. But I see what you're saying, that he says he's pushing them to get more wins. But how do you say no to $62 million when, so if that's probably another $22 million more than he's going to get from any team in the NBA. So the loyalty stays there because of the money. I completely get it. And some people have been hearing that, he wants more help and, well, they don't have the money. Well, you know what? That's when you got to look at your superstar and ask your superstar the question, can I be the man enough to bring some guys in that are mediocre and raise their game and make them superstars? Not be set up with the superstars like Bron, but make them better as a whole. Now, at $62 million, you're going to be asking yourself, where are your priorities to make this team much better? Listen, he signed the max contract 3 years ago at $42 million. This guy, or $45 million. He was making $45 million, and now he's at $62 million. Now, what has Portland been since then? Mediocre. Very mediocre. But his play has been stellar, but he's got to figure out a way to make him better like Jordan did, like Bird did, like Magic did, like all of the greats. And if you're not comparing today's player to the guys that made other players better in the past, it's not fair. Not only that, if you want to shorten the season, it's going to affect records and everything else that will be going on. This is the weakest set of NBA in my 53 years or 55 years of history on this earth. Say what you want. But here is the point right here. And Cuervo, I hope you're watching. And if you're not, you're missing this. I cannot believe it. But this is what Jordan did. He prevented great players from winning championships. Malone never won one. Reggie never won one. Patrick never won one. I mean, Peyton never won one. And guess what? He lined up against them all the time. Bron, Duncan, even Dirk Nowitzki, the most overrated basketball player in the NBA, won one. Look at that cat up in the Minnesota. So Jordan prevented these guys from winning these games. Jordan prevented guys from being. And why is it? I think this has a lot to do with it. I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. This came up last week, as it is the 22nd or 12th year anniversary of him making the statement. But this right here, I'm telling you right now, and I know I'm in the minority, this picture right here is what prevents LeBron James from being great. His overinflated ego. of how great he is. The look at me era of basketball. And this is the reason why he has to find buddies to try to win championships and still doesn't get it done, or wins it in a bubble. I'm telling you right now, that championship has to be in an asterisk. I'm not the more I think about it, I'm not accepting that championship is real. Are you? How much do you want to give LeBron credit for a bubble championship? Is there any doubt in your mind that maybe the most overrated player besides Dirk Nowitzki might be LeBron James, based upon what he has done, which is not much? Don't want to do it himself. And I'm just going to go here, and I'm putting this out here. He passes Michael Jordan, but look at all the other stuff that goes on. And we want to call this guy great. The one on the bottom, the 3,202 more three-pointers, does that make him, so that's 3,000 extra points he was doing on 2 points. I'm not saying Jordan wasn't a three-pointer. But what I'm going to tell you is Michael Jordan was to get the points where you're open. And then if you have to toss the three-pointer in to try to win a game, so be it. How about the more free throws? This guy gets every whistle. How about the more minutes this guy has played, the games it's took? And this is the reason why I can't take LeBron James back. And thank you, James Obenauer Obi, for remembering this for me. Cleveland guy. And Bird did it all. Defensively, offensively, teammate, raised the roof on your other players, made them all better. Magic Johnson, Dr. J. Now, granted, he didn't win a championship, but I actually take that back. I think he did. It just wasn't. It was the old championship. But my point being is you got to be a guy that can step out and be the leader of the team. Yes, you got to be able to put it on your shoulders. Yes, you got to be able to motivate the players. Yes, it's got to be something besides you. Yes, it's got to be about your bench players. Yes, it's got to be the all-around game. And I put it up on top of this. This is an example of why Frank Gore is not a GOAT. If you're a Hall of Famer, don't you get the title of being a GOAT? Do you think Frank Gore is a GOAT? Now, I know I make a lot of fun with it, and I have a lot to talk about. But this stat right here coming from the NBA feeds exactly what I'm talking about Frank Gore and his wonderful number 3 status of having the 3rd most yards in the NFL, but it took him 17 years, more so than other players, and some even half or even more than half of less of time, obviously being Barry Sanders. You look at those numbers, and this guy took 17 years, and all of a sudden we, as purists and loving the game, we have to accept Frank Gore as a great football player. And guys, he was never great. He was okay. 3 years, in a 3-year span of 17, he was good. He wasn't great. He wasn't knocking down 1,400, 1,500, 1,600 yards. He's taking years and years and years to 700 yards. Frankly, it should be embarrassing that people are talking about how Frank Gore is a Hall of Famer. And by the way, I was talking about this a little bit earlier. I see you in the green room. I'll get you in here in a second. But I'm going to tell you right now, you get more time to do it. Doesn't that take away from really the greatness? And again, do you think Frank Gore is a GOAT? If you're in the Hall of Fame, you got to be a GOAT to something, for God's sake. Was Frank Gore a GOAT? Do you think Frank Gore is a GOAT? If you think Frank Gore is a GOAT, you didn't watch the game, or you're just a homer of the team that he played for, whether it was in Arizona or over in, San Francisco, and the teams that he played for. It's the only reason why you think he's a GOAT, because you're not watching the damn game, as one of our favorite guys to talk about say. But hey, that's just me, and I know I've got a lot of things to say about it. Where's my intro for Cuervo? I know it's right there. Bang it there.
Didn't know?
In case you
Your ass better call somebody.
Sunday morning, holy cow! Wow, there you are. Bang! Let's
zoomed in.
There he is. How you doing, Cuervo?
I'm good, Sonny. Hey, look, let me just say this. When I jump, and I know I'm fashionably late. I know.
Of course.
You should be used to that by now.
Yeah, I am.
Right?
I am.
But when I jump on, and the first thing I hear you talking about is the not GOAT Frank Gore, I know it's going to be a great show. I know it's going to be a great show.
And I'm fired up about this because I thought about this, Cuervo, now, and I hate the fact that you came up with this, by the way. It should have been me. It should have been Sonny Clark. The fact that kids growing up did not want to be Frank Gore is the reason why you can't think of this guy as a GOAT of anything, never mind a Hall of Famer. And yes, you came up with the line. And people, and when I make mention of that reason, people think I've lost my mind. But really, when you're talking Hall of Fame and you're talking about great players, you're talking about whether it's basketball, football, or whatever, you want to be considered a GOAT of something, And I can't give it to a guy that played 17 years in the NFL to get past some of the greats that only played for 8 or 9 or 10 years, and just 7 years of average running of 600 and 700 yards a season. I just can't get past it, and I don't know why. But I want to go back to this because this I thought said a lot right here. This said a lot about where LeBron James is sitting. I don't know if you've seen this when I was talking about it, but it's a little facetious when you say congratulations, LeBron James, for surpassing Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list, but it only took him more games, more minutes, more free throws, more three-pointers, and when you sit back and think about it, and I dropped him back behind Larry Bird. I wanted to give him credit for the bubble championship, and I just can't do it. In order to move him past Larry Bird per se, but these are the things. It takes longer. I mean, in a race, Cuervo, when you're in a race, the shortest amount of time is great. Not it takes you longer just because you get across the finish line, and that's the way I look. That's the way I look at Bron. No, and the difference between Bron and Frank Gore is that Bron is a great player. Notice how I've given him the credit of being a great player. Sure. But when I look at Frank Gore, I see 3 years. If you go back, you can see the stats, and you can see 3 years of when he was good. It was his third or fourth year when he started it, and then he had 3 years. And then after that, this is average. We're seeing running backs, LaDainian Tomlinson, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, all the greats, on a consistent 1,400 yards, 1,600 yards, and getting them a lot. That didn't happen with Frank Gore. I don't know. I mean, if you want to give him the GOAT for durability to play for 17 years, okay, that's wonderful. And yes, that's an accomplishment, but is that accomplishment enough to become a Hall of Famer, being great, being a GOAT? Congratulations that he was able to do it, but
Sure. All right, so a lot to break down there, right? That you just talked about. So, as far as LeBron, look, I think that slide that you have, there's good relevant info, and then there's stuff that you can just throw away because to me, it's like, who cares? Like free throws, I don't care about that. That doesn't determine how great of a basketball player. Oh, he made more free throws. That just means he got fouled more. Like, what's the big deal? What's the argument in that,
on
right?
everything?
Right. So, well, I mean, you could get into a whole thing about how fouls are called nowadays compared to the 90s and the 80s. But you know what? That's not. And I'm defending LeBron here. That's not his fault. He doesn't make the rules. He just plays a game, and the rules are the rules. So, but I think if you really want to really want to hit your point home as far as Michael to LeBron as far as scoring, I think you could get into the whole field goals attempts, field goals, just attempts, field goal attempt. How many more shots did it take LeBron to get to Michael's level? Michael's, at his number of points. I think that would be a lot more relevant than free throws, or even, 3-pointers. I can see the argument in that.
Because he gets 3,000 more points off the 3-pointers. Not to say that Jordan wasn't a 3-point shooter, he was, but not to the consistency that we see LeBron James. So you could probably say take 1,000 off of that for Jordan, and it's still 2,002 more extra points, taking longer, with Jordan making twos and things like that.
Yeah. So I think the free throws is irrelevant. If you want to add field goal attempts, I think that's a much stronger case of okay, the whole durability thing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'll say about LeBron. As far as Frank Gore, there's you could say he's like the Iron Man of running backs.
I like that.
And it's almost like for guys that baseball fans. All right, I'm gonna go into baseball for a minute.
Okay.
And I'm gonna talk about one Cal Ripken Jr.
Okay.
People can say he's one of the all-time greatest shortstops, and look, I'm not here to say whether he is or not. But when we think about Cal Ripken Jr., what's the first thing we think of? We think of that games played consecutive record, right? And that's great. That's a great accomplishment. Does that really tell you the story of what he did on the field, on the diamond? Not really. You look at his home runs, career batting average. He had a great career batting average. He wasn't known as a power hitter, though, Sonny. And he played pretty good defense. So
very good defense.
My thing, though, is that I think a great comparison to Frank Gore is Cal Ripken, because that's the first thing you think about with Ripken is that games played record. For Frank Gore, the first thing you hear about Frank Gore, well, he played for so long. That's great. Good for him. He was able to stay healthy enough to play for, 17 18 years, however long he played in the league. What did he do in that time, though? That's the question. And so you look at a guy like Barry Sanders, who played half of the amount of time that Frank Gore did and still put up the same numbers, if not better.
They were better.
They were definitely better. And here's my last thing about Gore. And here's the difference between Gore and this is why Gore and LeBron is not a good comparison.
Oh, okay.
So LeBron, when we ask the question, has LeBron James been considered the best player in the game? The answer is yes.
Yes.
And he's been the best player in the game for the past, 15 years?
10, 15. I don't count the last 3. He hasn't been great, but the The 10 before that, yes.
Sure. You go back to his career and you say, okay, in the year 2010, was he considered the best player? Yeah. In 2011, was he the best player? Yes. 2012, you go and you look at Frank Gore's career. At any point in time, in any season, was he considered the best running back in the game?
That's third.
It maybe
even
for one
peak,
season.
Even his peak with 3 years, he had 1 year he had 1,400 yards, the other he had 13, and then they scale in between 1,000 and 1,200, where to me that's your average running back in reality. Sorry, it is, at least for me. When I can, and I said, I don't know if you heard it, but the one stat generation of greatness is what I'm starting to call things, because you're looking at one stat and go, yeah, he's there. Frank Gore with his yards, right? The one stat, the one portion of his game, and looking at certain players now, granted, a little bit different for Bron because he, a lot of things that he's done. But outside of Bron, when you're looking at whether or not guys are great, and I look at it, and people will look at one glaring thing they did throughout their career and think that should make them one of the greatest GOATs, Hall of Famer, or whatever the case may be, when it's not that way. When you're, at least for me, when I'm considering what is great, and one of my problems is that when I'm looking at Frank Gore, and going back to what you said just kind of sums up what Frank Gore is, at least to me, is that he's a one stat guy, where no one cared about Frank Gore except for 3 years of his 17-year career. Unlike, say whatever you want about Bron, right? You had to worry about Bron all the time. You have to have a game plan against them. Same thing with greats within football, whether it is a running back, wide receiver, quarterback, or even defensive player on the defensive line, or whatever the case may be. You got to plan for them. And I'm telling you right now, outside of 3 years, no one planned for Frank Gore. And the reason being also that they didn't plan for him, think about this. The money that Frank Gore made during his career compared to other players who are not even Frank Gore in yards and everything else. These younger cats made more money than Frank Gore, especially within the last 6 to 7 years of his career. I mean, so there's a lot of angles you can kind of look at it. Well, was Frank Gore that good where he brought home a paycheck that was insane? No, he had a few good years where he got money, but as far as his career and what people who are willing to pay him is unbelievable. And go to basketball. I mean, I don't know how much you've seen of the show, but Damian Lillard's going to get paid $62 million in 2 years to play basketball. Okay, wow. So that's after the max contract he received 3 years ago. Okay, and look at Booker. Look at these. The numbers are unbelievable. At least right now in basketball, right? That means Booker is going to be bringing home $51-52 million a year, and I'm looking at these numbers and the way. Now, I'm not saying that Booker's not good. I'm not saying Damian Lillard is not good, but are they $62 million worth? I mean, this is more money in 1 year that most great basketball players ever made in their career, if not more. So, it's interesting, and I'm glad the youngster, you are here, to kind of bring me down. But when I look at the money these guys are making, it's unbelievable. So lots of stuff going on. As far, by the way, I wanted to get your opinion. We're gonna have to get you a way to see this.
Oh boy, yeah, I am really, really, really looking forward to watching this.
It's in August. It's supposed to kick out in August on ESPN and Netflix. ESPN will have it on free, but you have to be there when it's on because they won't replay it. They never did. They did the same thing with the Michael Jordan deal. They didn't put it on replay. So you better, TiVo.
Well, it's on Netflix now.
Well, now it is, yeah. The Michael Jordan one, and on ESPN Plus, by the way. Which, by the way, you got to get an ESPN Plus. If you like documentaries, you're going to have to get yourself some ESPN Plus. It's great. I've been spending hours watching things that probably wouldn't even thought. about doing. But hey, look, just throw this out here, and how great guys are, right? How great guys are. Jordan prevented great players from winning championships. Bron, not so much.
And that's not even all the guys, Sonny.
I know.
On Michael's side.
Exactly. There's about 6 or 7 more, that he prevented from, winning championships. Not because he won the championship that day, but just enough where he kicked them out of the playoffs and they couldn't go in there. But, the greatness, great players knock out great players. And LeBron James is not defense, more so it's a knock. Some of these guys are average at best. They're knocking Bron out of the championship, or them not even making the playoffs. Now, granted, he's old. And listen, I will even give credit where credit is due for LeBron James. He's getting old. He shouldn't be out there for 45 minutes game. He's gonna, his tires are so bald, it's unbelievable. He's lucky to get traction in order to be somewhat of an effective player all the time. So that, as far as the Lakers or whoever ends up with LeBron James, are going to have to figure out. So it would be really interesting to see where and what LeBron James is going to be all about in a few years, because he wants to play with his son, who's supposed to be coming out here in the next couple of years as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going to be. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that's going to play out whenever his son gets drafted and all that. And, our team's are they going to reach to get him? Are they going to, is he going to wind up becoming the number 1 overall pick? Because a team wants LeBron that bad on their squad, for even if it's just for one season.
Yes.
Let's say it's a random team like the Utah Jazz, like, oh, we got the number 1 pick. Why don't we just get Bronny, so we can get LeBron, with him and see what happens.
It's interesting. By the way, there's been some criticism from a guy. I want to put this up because the Lakers situation.
Okay.
You're hearing more about this, and I thought you would love to see this. I think I sent what I was going to kind of cover this week, and I sent this to you. What was your take when you saw this?
Yeah, my thing is, if they're desperate to move up, why the hell did you have him sign the extension then?
That was, I think, was going to be my point, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It makes zero sense if they're desperate. I mean, you sign the extension to keep them, I guess, but when you sign that extension, also understanding when you sign that extension, you're going to give him 3 or 4 more million than he really, I think, I don't want to say deserve, or should get, I guess is the best way of saying it. Mm-hmm. So you can lock him in. But I look at Michael Westbrook, and we've gone back years talking about this guy, right, Cuervo? I mean, 6-7 years, we're talking about this guy being one of the best that are playing the game. Of course, that's when you had Kevin Durant over there in OKC and a couple other guys up on the side to try to get there. Exactly. But now he's falling into I'll go to this team. Harden doing the same thing along with LeBron James, guys that are bouncing around the league. But Kevin Durant, also one of them. By the way, Kevin Durant really just kind of bitch slapping the Brooklyn Nets as far as that. So we got guys that are just bouncing around the league and really show no. And your boy Michael Jordan came on and says, "I don't understand this. How guys are not staying on one team. These guys are bouncing around like pogo sticks for 3 and 4 different teams." And
that's just today's NBA, Sonny.
Yeah. Well, and their expectation is for someone to say that they're great. But when you listen, Jordan wasn't out there, saying this guy needs to come to us. Right. I mean, he brought all those guys on and Jordan made them better. More so than today. It's almost like the player is an executive assistant to the GM saying, "No, I want this guy. Let's work on trying to get him here." It's really interesting to see where the game has changed even at that point.
Yeah. And it's funny because sometimes people make the argument, the even younger than I generation of, well, Jordan had, all these all-stars. And look, here's the difference, man. Michael never went out to recruit those guys. And it's not because he didn't like them or because, he's like, oh, I'm not going to recruit. He didn't have to. The GM did his job. And, and Michael just kind of was like, all right, cool. We're getting Dennis Rodman. Sweet. Let's do this. Michael was going to win with whoever was his teammate. It wasn't going to matter.
Yep.
Because he was going to be the leader that helped them win championships. And then that's what all came down to. So, living in that time, I remember right before they got, and you probably remember this, Sonny, before Dennis Rodman was even thought of coming to Chicago, there were a lot of rumors that the Bulls were going to get Anthony Mason from the New York Knicks.
I do remember
rest in peace, Anthony Mason. But that was like, and as Bulls fans in Chicago, we were excited about that because we knew what Mason brought to the table. But I think more than that, we just knew that, whether we got him or not, as long as Michael was back, Bulls were gonna take care of business. So, but it's like nowadays, you see all this recruiting and you see all this, come join me, come do this. It's just it just feels like we have the same conversation all the time, Sonny. There is no like, I want to beat you. It's I want to team up with you, and so we can beat other guys. And it's like that's part of the reason why the NBA is watered down.
Soft.
You're not really seeing guys that are standing out, because it's not I want to compete against you. It's I want to team up because I know I don't have enough to beat these other guys. Like another super team's going to form because now Golden State is back.
Right.
They're back. And they may even get stronger. They may add somebody. I don't know.
Well, I heard one Kevin Durant, losing faith in the Brooklyn Nets, has been rumored to maybe go I don't think that's going to happen personally. I just, once you get
Durant to Golden State, probably not. I think there's too much, of this with him and Draymond Green. He ain't going back to Golden State.
And think about this. We would be talking about the Golden State with Kawhi Leonard. Or not Kawhi Leonard. Who's the guy that got hurt, shot the free throws with the jacked up knee? For
Klay Thompson?
Yeah, Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson wasn't 100%. And imagine if he was during this time. How many more would they maybe have one more championship if Klay Thompson was 100% to be able to do it? So that
Possibly.
I mean, so right now, as far as where Golden State is, I mean, you got them at least in the playoffs and at least in their conference championship game when they haven't even done anything to quote unquote improve the team right now, and you already got them there. So it's just like, and then if Phoenix doing what they're doing to bring Booker, keep them there, get that guy. Durant is a big rumored guy to go to the Phoenix Suns. So much so because there's only two teams he wants to go to. He wants to go to Miami or he wants to go to Phoenix. And frankly, you should go to Phoenix out of the two, based upon what the Phoenix Suns have been doing for the last few years in order to get better. They just need that thing to get them that one step better to get them up and over the side to where they might be able to get into the Western Conference Championship and get into the finals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine Booker with Durant. Not bad.
Oh man, listen, I'm not a Kevin Durant fan. And the main reason is because of what he's doing now. Showing no loyalty to the Brooklyn Nets who paid him. I think it was $36 million just to sit the bench. Because of his injury. They took him on injured and paid him for the whole year.
Oh, but he lost confidence in the front office.
It's almost ridiculous to hear something like that. It just makes zero sense to me coming from this guy. And not only that, it also shows a little bit about his character as well. But if Phoenix can figure out a way to get him, but that's the problem. What is Phoenix going to have to give up to get him? And it can't be the solid 4 that are out on the court right now. It can't be any of them, because even if you bring in Kevin Durant, and even as great as he is, I don't know, based upon what they got, 4 out of 5 guys that are starting that could start anywhere else in the NBA. But if you take one of those 4, because you got the 5th who's just there, and I don't know how much that Kevin Durant can make up for that loss of that one of those 4 that are there. So, but I think we could see him in the playoffs. I think they could go deep into the playoffs. Will it be that thing to get them up and over? That's going to be the big deal. But you will be watching out for the Phoenix Suns, especially if Kevin Durant starts playing like he was playing about 4 years ago, CUERVO, which he was almost unstoppable.
Yeah, if he can get back to that.
Yeah. I think that's a mental game. This kid's too young for him to be, wore out per se. I think that's a mental thing. He's going to have to get his game a little bit more back into into it and stuff. Westbrook, where do you think he ends up? Does he stay in the Lakers, or you think there's going to be I know you hear all this because you're right there. You're right on the outskirts of LA. What's going on as far as Michael Westbrook? Where do you think he'll be?
Well, I'll tell you this. If it was up to Laker fans and the local LA radio stations, like the one with Keyshawn Johnson and all those guys. Yep. Hey, we'll help you pack your bags, Russ. I mean, if it was up to Laker fans, they couldn't get Russell Westbrook out of LA fast enough. But you know what? Jeannie Buss has made the comment. She's going to do what's best for the team. Well, nobody knows what that means yet, but I don't
even know if she knows that. I think she's just wading water until she can figure it out.
Well, I think what she's also doing is reaching out to an old fling of hers in a guy named Phil Jackson. So
I was wondering if that was
because here's the thing for those that don't know, he actually was part of the coach hiring process for hiring the next Lakers coach. So,
which, by the way, to me is not impressive, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I don't know how much more involved Phil is with the Lakers after that. But I mean, everybody knows the history with him and Jeannie Buss. So
yes,
there you go.
Which he screwed that up, but that's a different story in itself. But it's fine. By the way, now that being said, CUERVO, we are edging closer and closer and closer to the time where football is going to start taking over. Obviously, it starts at the end of August with high school football, and then at the beginning of September, it goes to college football. CUERVO, look at what your guys are doing right there.
All right, hey.
I saw this. Did I send this to you? I don't know if I think I wanted to save this. I don't think I sent this to you, but I wanted you to see what they're working on as far as the commitment dates and everything else, and the guys that they got. Which, by the way, I did a little look. I did a little look on these, and these are not bad players for your Volunteers over there, CUERVO. You got, I don't know, these 3 guys, does it bring any excitement whatsoever to you, knowing what the Volunteers are going to be all about, where they are, and obviously all the news with teams moving there, doing this and stuff like that. How do you feel about the new recruit signings there for your Tennessee Vols?
Yeah, I mean, I really haven't dove too much into what they've recruited so far, Sonny, but just that slide alone, I mean, like anytime you can get a 4-star, what's considered an athlete in college football, I mean, those are guys that you can do so much with, and
right.
It adds so much more to your team. Offensive linemen, I mean, heck, you can't have enough of those. Those are always great to have. And then linebackers, I mean, those are captains of your defense.
Right.
So
what are they doing at the quarterback position, CUERVO? I mean, as far as depending, obviously, well, look at what conference they're playing in, CUERVO.
Yeah.
I mean, you better come with the stud. You better be able to bring, as The Rock says, you better bring it. Are they ready to be able to do that?
As much as I love to say yes, I think they're still a year or two away from really competing. This is going to be Josh Heupel's second or third year as the head coach.
I thought third.
Yeah.
So going into his third, I think, and I guess we'll find out what kind of player he's going to be, right?
Well, no, I'm talking about the coach as far as recruiting and stuff. It being his third year, I think.
That's right. He's the coach. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah, another year or two before he's got a full, class of guys in on the team. Where it's like a full cycle of his recruiting classes.
Yes.
So, and then from there we can really look at how well he recruits and how well he's coaching guys that he brought in, not necessarily, the guy before. So
yeah, it's sort of like Jim Harbaugh up in Michigan. I mean,
yeah.
And now he's at that point where he's got all his guys in there. But look at this, Cuervo. Look, is this the wave of college football, Cuervo? We're going to see a lot of changes coming. I mean, we're talking Big Ten, West, to the Big Ten, East. I mean, so yeah, all these. Now, granted, these are not. What do you say? These are not set in stone yet. But I mean, is this the future of what college football is going to be? And then the setup,
essentially, it's not going to be the Power Five anymore. It's going to be the Fab Four. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, the Fantastic Four. I don't know, but
is this good for football, Cuervo? I'm just going to ask you. You being the college guy, I'm not the college guy. I watch my team play, and get roughed up by Ohio State, except last year, and battle through a Big Ten schedule, and basically that I look at that conference of football is not as powerful as obviously as some of the other ones, but they have to fight through it to get to it. But, I don't know. Is this going to be good for college football in reality? I know it's going to be good for the finances. I mean, because you can see exactly how that whole thing is going to work out. But really, do you think it's good for this, the actual game itself?
I think what it could wind up doing is generating more like week in and week out, in conference games, more competitive games. I think it hurts it though.
Will they put rules in the place where they won't have the cupcakes within the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season, or are we still going to see those cupcake games?
I think we'll still see them for a little while. But my thing is, at the end, I think it's going to hurt college football because you got all those big name teams, right? Those big name schools, and they're going to knock each other out before you can get to the playoff.
Right.
And so the argument every year is going to be, do we really have the best 4 teams in the Final Four? Because, you're talking about conference championship games where, there's going to be a time where a team's going to have a bad game, and then you're going to make the argument of, were they the better than the team that got into the Final Four type thing. And it's kind of happened already, but now when you merge these teams in more together, where they're probably going to play each other more often before you get to that playoff, either you do that or you expand. Maybe that's what the plan is. You expand it. I am still a firm believer. I think 8 is the number.
I agree.
You don't need to go more or less. I think 8 is the magic number. You get 8 teams in there, man. I think that's where you want it to be. I don't think 4 is enough, and I think 12 is too many.
Oh, well, interestingly enough, if you go by that last slide, you got 4 So the way you're talking about is 2 from each one of the conferences if they square it
Yeah,
away.
absolutely.
And good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, we see it in the NFL all the time where teams are really good. They miss the playoffs because of where they ended up based upon somebody else's, cream puff schedule, and they make it into we're going to get the same. So I don't think there's a great way in order for you to, how do you say, out of lack of better words, to make it fair per se, Cuervo, because I don't think there's such a thing in reality when they're going to try to do this. I don't think the fairness thing is going to even come into play based upon who some of these guys are, right, Cuervo, and some of the coaches and who they are and who will some of these guys go and play for. And Cuervo, this was embarrassing, by the way. I'm going to put this up. I put this up last week, and I saved this one for you, Cuervo. Look at what is happening on the scales of high school football to get into college and what things are being, money is being spent.
That's crazy, man. That's so crazy.
I saw this, and by the way, I steal these. I didn't make them up, and I find them and I put, and they're talking points for us through the show. And when I saw this, we talked about Pandora's box being open, Cuervo, when they started wanting to pay those college players. This slide right here is the epitome of what Pandora's box is all about.
Yep. I mean, I don't. I never. Then again, like I said, I don't dive into recruiting too much. Never even heard of this kid.
Evidently, he's some kind of badass.
And I'll even take it a step further. Not only have I never heard of this kid, but a quarterback that I have heard of, who just committed to Texas last week or two. Imagine what he's going to get just because of his last name.
Know. That's interesting. I didn't even think about that number, and I'm going to tell you the reason why I didn't think of that number. I didn't think of that number because I don't think he's going to command. Could he command the money? I think so, but I don't think. Maybe it's in my mind. I don't think he's going to take it.
He doesn't have to command it.
Yeah,
it's going to get thrown to him because of his last name.
Will he take it though?
Why wouldn't he?
Well, I don't know. Here I am sitting on my high horse thinking, well, for the good for football, maybe he would, he knows his status. He knows where he is. He don't need that money. He ain't going to take it. And then the pessimist is going, are you crazy? Of course he's going to take the damn money. So I'm caught in the middle on this one, Cuervo, because I want it to be authentic that, no, I don't need the money. I'm going to go play where I'm going to play. By the way, Texas, good God. I mean, I'm sorry. I've watched Texas football for the last 5 years, Cuervo. What is set up for Manning to make his way over to Texas is completely – he'd be better off going to Texas A&M per se. I mean, because that program is in a lot of trouble unless they want to bring him in to try to resurrect the program because it's been pathetic.
Well, and that may be the case but what I do know is by the time he gets there, Texas will either already be in their first year in the SEC or they'll be 1 year away. I can't remember exactly, but I know they're going to be around that time that he winds up suiting up for them for the Longhorns. They're going to be in the SEC. Matter of fact, Sonny, can you do me a favor? Go back to that slide with all the teams.
With this one?
No. The one with all the college teams.
Oh, yes. Bang.
That one.
This one right here?
Here, yeah. And this is why I say 8 is the best number. First of all, you look at this format right here, it almost looks like it's setting up for an 8-team playoff.
Right.
Could you imagine having matchups like, let's just say, I don't know, Oregon against Florida or Georgia versus – no, I think we've had Georgia versus Miami. I don't know if that would be a very good game. But and having that every year, Ohio State.
Every week, yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, Ohio State and Texas, or Ohio State and Oklahoma, or Wisconsin against Auburn. I mean, we've seen some of those in bowl games. Those are just bowl games. They don't mean anything, right? But imagine if it was a playoff. USC against LSU. Just like we used to see.
Yeah.
I mean, man, it just
Michigan, Ohio State for the Rose Bowl championship, but before they went into but it was actually maybe not necessarily Ohio State, but there were more teams in the Big Ten that would be going for the Rose Bowl. USC or UCLA, going up against Michigan or Michigan State or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, for the Big Ten championship. Right?
Yeah, for the Big Ten championship. I think that it does. Like you said, could you imagine seeing these games? Obviously, you look at the ACC just at the top of this, Cuervo, you're looking at 16 games. So where do the cream puff games come in on this? If you really want to call this the future of what college football can be, this is what I want to see. More so than the cream puffs that they'll put in. They only got 10 games, Cuervo? They play 10 or 12?
It depends, like 10 or 11.
10, yeah. So take the set that schedule up for 11 games within those districts and let them play. Or if you're going to move them beyond conferences and stuff, somehow equal it out, to where, you get 2 from this one, 2 from that one. There's just so many ways that they can roll into that. But, it's sort of like the NFL. Look at the NFL. You get, you automatically have 6 within your division of football, 2 games each of that team. Now, obviously, there's only 4 compared to a total of 16. So, they'd have to figure it out. But I still would like to see the cross-conference games as well, as far as that is concerned. But I think it's more in line where you can just put everybody else in like an NIT for basketball, all the other football teams play for that championship, and leave it. You're not going to play Alabama, goofball college out of Mississippi. You're not going to even be able to play them. I think there's some rule changes that are going to have to come into play if they're going to make that kind of thing work, because how many cream puffs does Alabama need in reality? They usually get 2, sometimes 3 cream puffs each year. That's still only these 7 games. This is not like high school. We got 2 out of district games in high school, but they're not cream puffs, at least as far as what Saxy is going. But sometimes it works out that way where the other team gets the cream puff, depending on where they're playing out of conference. I think I would just like to see a more I want to see a more competitive league / conferences, put together than throwing, Appalachian State in there to try to go up against Alabama or whoever the freaking team is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at week 1 right now, Sonny, and there's a couple interesting games in that first weekend. And they try to do that to kind of kick off the season, with some good, matchups that you normally wouldn't see. Like you got Cincinnati against Arkansas.
That's all right.
Not bad.
That's not the worst, and I don't know much about those programs, but at least I know of them.
Yeah, or Utah against Florida. That could be, depending on how good Utah is. But then you got the real juicy ones, right? Like on September 4th, that Sunday before Labor Day, you got Florida State against LSU. Not bad.
Those are ball-to-wall games that I want to see. If I'm college guy, college football fan, that's the game I want to see.
Well, then you'll probably really like the one on Saturday, September 3rd. Georgia, defending national champions, against Oregon.
That actually is a good one.
Yeah, that's going to be – I think we're going to see some fireworks on that one.
Yeah, but then Cuervo, okay, and just as I put it up and found it, as far as week 1, where are the cream puff games that are going to happen?
Are you asking?
In week one of in college football, are there cream puffs going up against the big names?
There probably is.
Well, Central Michigan up against Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
To me, listen, Central Michigan has a good football, but really Oklahoma State, come on. They're actually getting better. In the last 3 years, they've been better, right? So, let's see here. Well, wow. Penn State, Purdue, September.
Michigan
I want to watch that one. That one's actually could be really good.
Sonny, your Wolverines are playing.
Who are they playing? Is it cream puff who?
Colorado State.
Well, the difference between a Colorado State and an Appalachian State, they're totally different. I mean, say whatever you want about Colorado State. At least they've got a football program. At least they've got some NFL players that roll out of that school. But I get what you're saying. That's kind of that, based up. That's probably 2 levels below them in reality, more so than even in the same league.
Yeah. How about USC against Rice? Is that a cupcake game?
I think it is. Yeah. I think it is. So there's going to be cream puff, and we're going to see more of the cream puffs in week 2, 3,
Alabama
and 4.
against Utah State.
It's a game that shouldn't even be on the schedule for them.
Oh, Ohio State's playing Notre Dame in the first. I didn't see that.
I knew about that one. What was the other one that I saw that I thought was really actually interesting? Florida playing up against Florida State's playing
LSU.
No, in week 1, Florida State's playing Dubuque, or what is this? And this is week 1 of 14. I never even heard of this school. It's Duquesne. I've never even heard of this school. Florida State is going up against a school I've never heard of, CUERVO. Never heard of it.
Florida State?
Yeah. Look at
playing
Florida
LSU
State.
their first game. You may be looking at the next week.
Week 1 of 14. Let me hear. It should say the date on this. August 27th.
Ah, okay.
That's even before what you were talking about.
Oh, I see it. Florida State against Duquesne. I don't know. There's not even Sonny. There's not even a line on the game. There's no money. There's no point spread.
God. Oh my God! See, that's what I'm talking about. I want to see more of the the good games that that could end up being.
Well, look, Tennessee's playing Ball State, so I can't really make fun of other teams that are playing cupcakes.
Yeah, the cupcake game. But hey, that Penn State Purdue game I think could be good.
It could. Yeah, it could be.
I think that could be.
Game.
And Missouri and Louisiana Tech I think are good, but they're a couple steps below now with kind of where they are. They're not the big ones, but I think that could be good. Western Michigan and Michigan State that should never be on the schedule.
Warm-up games.
Yeah. You know what? Schedule a freaking, a scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? Just do it. Miami of Florida, BC is playing B-CU. I've never even heard of them. See, they got to get away from that in order to make it at least credible to basically do the college football, format that they're looking. They've got to throw those games out the window. There's no way to compare all the teams, especially if one has a better quote unquote, strength of schedule kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you got a team that's playing everybody within the conference, and then you got one team playing 3 cream puffs, that's 3 teams that they were playing within the conference have a chance to, have the upset. So that's what I'd want to see. I don't know. There's just a lot of things. But by the way, Peyton Manning, obviously the GOAT of Tennessee.
Yes,
I can't think of anybody, that has come out of Tennessee that could, it's certain guys coming out the end.
There's a close second.
Who's out of Tennessee?
Yes, the Minister of Defense himself.
Who?
The Minister of Defense, Mr. Reggie White.
I didn't know he came out of Tennessee.
Yes, he did.
That's interesting.
The late Reggie White, rest in peace, Minister.
Yeah.
But look, when you have a street named after you right at the stadium, kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning
like that, right? Yeah. So
what about Peyton, Sonny? What you got about Peyton?
Well, no, I do. He's the GOAT of Tennessee. I was thinking about, and then the funny thing is I was thinking about this about a month ago, and then I came across, I think I sent this to you. The GOAT for each team within the NFL.
Did you send that to me or did I send that to you?
I don't know. You might have sent it to me, and I thought, hey, I better snap this up. This is pretty good stuff. And you go back in the history of the game, obviously, and you find out, like, for the Chicago Bears, how many great players have been, but Walter Payton, obviously, the guy that's up on top of that.
Sure. I don't disagree.
I was going to say you can't disagree with it. I know your wife is going to kill me about this, but John Elway, is he the GOAT of Denver? Well, yeah, because they really haven't really been able to really replace John Elway, haven't they? I mean,
no, they haven't.
By the way, I saw a picture of Jake Plummer. He looks like he works at a gas station. It's like, Jake, I mean, hey, there's these new inventions. They're called combs and shampoo. I mean, come on, dude, can you spare me? It's just like, dude, really. But anyway, Tony Gonzalez, is he the GOAT of Kansas City? And then that was one that
that's tough.
That one I don't necessarily agree with. But I guess it depending on how far you want to go back as far as greatness, as far as Kansas City is concerned. Tony Gunn, I mean, I guess he would probably be one that got more fanfare probably than anybody else. I mean, because right now, and what's making me mad, by the way, as far as Kansas City is concerned, Cuervo, they're already talking about, Patrick Mahomes being in the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, he hasn't done enough. Right now, I look at and I know that one stat thing. Oh, he's a Super Bowl winner. He should probably get there. He's made him better. There's no question. But if he wasn't to play now, there are people actually that think Patrick Mahomes needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Am I wrong in thinking that there's no freaking way?
So this is a unique situation because we kind of we talk about Frank Gore, right? And we talk about people say he needs to be in because of how long he played.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got guys like Mahomes. If he retired today, did he play long enough and do enough?
Yeah.
To get in the Hall of Fame.
Do you think it's been long? I'm just asking. I promise I won't bash you. Do you think he's got enough to, bring the credentials?
You know what you're
to
trying
Hall
to
of
say,
Fame?
Sonny. You're trying to say you want to bring Joe out. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to bring Joe out.
Hey! Sometimes I gotta bait you in order to bring him out. So
fine. You know what?
Because I can push the button. That is comical to think that Patrick Mahomes would be a Hall of Famer right now.
Well, I said yes, so you can bring Joe out. I know you were dying to bring him out.
Hey, can we talk?
Now Jones got something to say.
Well, yeah, Jones. I mean, listen. What Patrick Mahomes has been in the league? What, 5 years? 4 or 5 years?
I think so. 5, yeah. Drafted in 2017.
It's like since 17.
Mm-hmm. 5 years. He's going into a 6th year.
I don't think it's enough. I want, and not only that, okay, he's going to have a total different look on his team this year, obviously, with no, the guy who went to Miami. What's his name? Just slipped my mind.
Tyreek Hill.
No Tyreek Hill. By the way, that guy talking outside of his mouth, talking about how he wasn't getting the ball, and I was like, dude, you need to go look at your own stat line, dude. Like,
wait, he said that?
Yeah. Yes.
He said
I think he was on something. It's off season, so they're taking a lot of shit. I mean,
Sonny, you said that Tyreek Hill said he didn't get the ball.
He didn't feel that he was getting the ball enough. Yes. And he's talking about that because he's gone to Miami and everybody's asking him questions. See, Tyreek Hill needs to know just when to shut his mouth because he basically has said, okay, now keep this in mind. Okay. All right. He has said that Tua throws a prettier ball than
I did hear him say.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Cuervo.
Now this is a time when it's appropriate for Joe to come out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But here's the thing, Cuervo. Patrick Mahomes ain't falling for it. He's not. And he could be pissed if he wanted to.
This is total BS.
And he doesn't. And he has not fallen for it. It's just like because I'm going to tell you right now. If there's anybody that's going to have his numbers go down, and I'm not talking by a little, I'm talking about a lot, Cuervo, it's going to be Tyreek Hill with Tua throwing him the football. There's just no way. I mean, listen, especially last year, Cuervo, when they were desperate and they were feeding the ball to Kareem Hunt. They were going out of their way to get him the ball. And then he comes up and says what he says, which makes Joe come out all the time. But the simple fact of the matter is that there's a certain amount of things that Tyreek Hill does have to say to help his situation because you're going from a quote unquote Hall of Fame quarterback to Tua. And I'm sorry, the drop off on that is. That's worse than the coyote going off the side of a cliff on a Roadrunner cartoon, dude. I mean that's a fall off, Jack. And not only that, you get the anvil after you hit the ground and you kind of weave up. Then you got the anvil up on top of it because it's Miami and because they can't even get out of their own damn division of football. When for the last 4 or 5 years he's been sitting right into the playoffs and has the Super Bowl ring. So I get the fact that you gotta kind of hype this situation a little bit, but I just want to know in reality how much of it he actually believes.
How much does he actually what? Say that again.
Believe it. How much he actually believes what he is saying.
Honestly, I don't know how much he believes it, Sonny. But it just kind of feels to me that this is Tyreek's way of being a little salty about being traded.
Yeah.
I think he's a little sour about it. I think he's a little mad about it. But, and so it makes you wonder, like, did he really want out of Kansas City?
Exactly. Well, they weren't going to pay him the money he wanted. Listen, Kansas City, yeah, well, okay.
Do you think maybe Tyreek called their bluff? And then they traded him, and he was like, "Holy crap!" They actually.
Oh yeah, I think he called it, and then he got screwed up on the last card flip. What's that called? On the river. He got screwed on the river, dude. I'm telling you right now because he put some things into probably some play, and but if you're Tyreek Hill, I've got a question for you.
How dare you say such a thing? That is insanity.
It's insanity what he is doing as far as what you want to talk about a guy. What's the old saying? You don't burn bridges. Oh, dude, It burned so many freaking bridges. Just with the statement alone that Tua throws a prettier ball. And listen, and you and I, we've talked about this before. If you go back about 6 or 7 years, Cuervo, you remember that great one-handed catch Odell Beckham made in practice? Do you remember that? And how everybody lost their mind about it and everything, but it never impressed me. Right, Cuervo? It never impressed me because that's practice. Okay, he's not going to make a one-handed catch like this all the time and everything. And this
careful.
Form, and so, the same thing that, we see this a lot where they grab that instance and go, oh my God, this guy's going to be great. It's almost like they're reaching for something down in Miami to make either Tyreek or Tua to have that moment where everybody's got their eyes up on them too. And right now, even though I've been hearing everything's going great in their training camp and they're getting on, there hasn't been that Odell Beckham Jr. one-handed catch on the sideline, unbelievable catch to bring it and go bring the cameras to it. So sometimes you got to be able to, how do you say? Sometimes you got to believe the hype, and I'm just not getting it from Tua to Tyreek Hill.
Well, here's my belief, and I want to get back to Tyreek Hill because I have his stats pulled up right now.
Okay.
And to kind of destroy his argument of him not getting the ball, right?
I'm glad you got the number. I did. It was such an insult. I didn't even bother to even look it up because I knew it wasn't right.
Yeah. So I think what the Dolphins are doing with these videos that they're putting out is to get people to believe in Tua. I think this is for Tua more than it is Tyreek Hill. Yep. And the reason I say that is because, it's like the box of chocolates, Forrest Gump. You already know what you're getting with Tyreek Hill.
Right.
Okay.
At least you should.
With Tua, I mean, you saw what you got with him last year. Now you add Tyreek. I just think the Dolphins are trying to get fans to believe in Tua, get hype, believe in the hype about Tua more than Tyreek Hill. And that way, it just people will be more
so you
into it. It's sales. It's a sales drive. It's a sales drive, is what it is.
Wow.
Real dumb.
Instead of
we'll see.
Like that kind of thing, the hype machine. They gotta hype it somehow, and I get it. But really, by the way, I haven't done it really, but I kind of looked at the quarterbacks as far as the NFL is concerned. Okay, and what's going there? Tua's not in the top 15. I mean, and if you are, you're a Miami Dolphin fan. I mean, so see, and that is the point, and that is the huge point. Their defense is not bad, by the way. I was doing a little research on Miami. Their defense is pretty damn good. They just need someone to weather the storm, just get them through, and then let other things happen, like a Tyreek Hill to do what he's got to do, or players to make plays after it is. We always talk about it when you're a quarterback. You got to be able to throw the ball, but the guy who's catching the ball is going to have.
Don't hold back.
They got to do more than just catch the ball. And for wide receivers, Tyreek Hill is the yakety yak almost king in reality. But it's the other 3 and 4 wide receivers that are going to be there. They are going to have to lift their game in order to make Tua become this next big thing. Because right now, if people are talking about Tua being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this next year, him out, because that's one of the dumbest things I think I've ever heard. And I've been hearing it, Cuervo. It's not like I'm even trying to, look for it. I'm hearing this. Tua's going to be one of the best quarterbacks. I mean, that just goes to show when you are in the off season, how much crap comes out of people's mouths with authority or who are quote unquote smart. Makes me wonder about how smart they really are.
Look, I'll say this: the Dolphins have set up Tua to be one of the best quarterbacks this year.
Have they set Tua up for that, or have they set that up for somebody else?
No, it's for Tua. I believe it's for Tua for this year. I don't know what the future holds.
Yeah.
All I can talk about is this year, Sonny. I don't know what's going to happen next year or the year after that. I mean, hell, we could see Jimmy Garoppolo in Miami. I don't know. Who knows? You just never know.
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo, now that you bring him up, okay, is being rumored to go to Cuervo. Sometimes I see moves that are out there, Cuervo, and I want to be a GM.
I know I'm smarter than that son.
And get me in Cleveland. Just sit me in Cleveland. Baker Mayfield would still be a Brown. I'm telling you right now, if I was the GM, Baker Mayfield would be a Brown. He'd be the starting quarterback for the Browns. He would be able to at least compete in their own division of football if Baker Mayfield was the quarterback. I'm not saying he's great. I don't want anybody to think that as Bryce would say, I need to go get drug tested. Okay? But when we talk about what the Browns have done lately, okay, compared to this, Cuervo, I mean, these are the first-round draft picks since 1999 the Browns have had at the quarterback position.
Good Lord. Tim Couch.
Holy
cow.
And he's number 2 on the ranking of this list. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Brandon Whedon and move him to 3 and Brady Quinn to number 4. All right. And the only reason why that is Whedon did actually do some time here in Dallas. And he actually had some playing time. Outside of that, I'm okay with the list in the order. But here's the thing. Tim Couch never took him to the playoffs, regardless how bad he is. Brady Quinn sure in the hell didn't. Johnny Manziel, the biggest joke draft pick in NFL history, is there. And Brandon Whedon's actually a solid guy, but he hasn't been able to do anything to get him to the playoffs. So right now, I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at the last 20 years and going, geez, we could have fought. Okay, I'm going to do a Clarkism. They cut a fat hog in the ass by getting Baker Mayfield because they haven't been to the playoffs, regardless how bad he supposedly played. But he was still a part of that cog that they haven't seen for 20 years. You take that cog out because, listen, how many games that we were picking and we were going, there's no way they're going to win this game. That's Baker Mayfield. And they freaking won the game. And by the way, he didn't have to play great in order to win the game. So they're messing with somewhat of a little bit of continuity going on over there. Now, you kind of teased a little bit earlier in the show about Baker Mayfield and the Panthers and how great this is. So I need you to enlighten me because of the Panthers' history at the quarterback position for the last 5 years has been embarrassing at best. Although it hurts me to say that about my boy Teddy Bridgewater, but it was embarrassing. Say whatever, that hurt me. But and how much money that the Panthers have thrown away at the quarterback position over the last 6 years. So you got Baker Mayfield. You said there's something. What was your comment? When you made that?
I had kind of made a tease about like. Why do I think it is a great deal for the Panthers? There you go, great deal for Carolina. Why do you say that, Cuervo?
I had to bring it up.
The time has come to tell you why I think it's a good deal for Carolina.
Okay.
It's a good deal for Carolina because they gave up a sack of white onions to get him. Okay. What did that was 4th round, 5th round pick that they traded?
Yeah, so throw in. Yeah, throw in.
Yeah. And what do you get in return? You get a guy and you nailed it on the head. You kind of You stole my thunder a little, Sonny, but it's true.
Okay.
You get a guy that has made of all teams the punchline of jokes, the laughing stock of the NFL.
I get it.
He made the Cleveland Browns playoff relevant for the first time since Bernie freaking Kosar.
Yeah, I noticed he was on that list there.
It's been 30 years since that guy played. Okay? And for someone like that, you can't turn a blind eye to that, Sonny.
Right.
You have to acknowledge it. You have to say, damn, Baker Mayfield's done something that somebody hasn't done
in 30 years.
I take it back. No, 2002. Who was the quarterback that year? They went to the playoffs for 1 year I think it was 2002. And for the life of me,
it was the one they drafted in '99. Let me put the number back up here. It was the one in '99.
Was it Couch?
I think it was either. I don't know, because it could have been Couch or Whedon or Quinn, one of those. Well, we can find out. I mean, Google knows everything.
Yes, he does. I'm looking at it. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Baker Mayfield was one, and there we go. So let's see who was the. All right, so it was in 2002 when the Browns. I'm sorry, 1994. Is this the Browns? Yes. All right. So, all right. The last time it was 2002 in the playoffs, and the quarterback was, let me get that for you here in just a moment as it loads. Oh, my God, Cuervo.
Well, this ought to be good. He's choking over there.
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die, and you're gonna. Kelly Holcomb.
Wow, there you go. That's.
Oh my God!
It was when they had Braylon Edwards. You remember Braylon Edwards, Michigan guy, by the way. Wide receiver. That's when the Browns made the playoffs. I remember that. But the point is, it's been that long. Either way, it's been 20 years.
Sorry, I almost died on you. I didn't mean to, but when I saw the name, it's almost like you couldn't have had a better. Oh shoot, you couldn't have had a better thing. But before that, Cuervo, excuse me, it was 1994. So you went from 94 to 2002. That's bad enough.
Right.
Okay. All right. And so you got to go back. And then Drew Bledsoe was the quarterback for New England, going up against New England against Vinny Testaverde.
Jeez.
So, man, that was a long time ago.
Right.
I'm sorry, the Kelly Holcomb thing just caught me off guard. Just made me laugh.
Yeah, that's
because of the number one draft picks, and then you got Kelly Holcomb, who obviously career backup quarterback in the NFL. Had to start in the playoff game, and I don't know what was the reason why or who. If he was the starter all year, I just don't remember. And if he was, it was the last part of the year because I don't remember Kelly Holcomb starting for the Cleveland Browns all season long. So it is just kind of that.
Here's the other thing I want to say about it, though, Sonny, real quick. So it was a great deal for Carolina. Okay. I personally think, though, that it was the wrong team to make a deal with.
Okay.
I just think that
for Baker Mayfield.
Right. Well, I just don't think because now Carolina's got to ask themselves, what do we do with Sam Darnold? You really going to make him the backup? Do you want to make him the backup?
Well, is there a team in the NFL that would take a Sam Darnold? I mean, I started off
For a
the show. I don't know how much you heard. I kind of talked a little bit about this, but he's been on the Jets and the Panthers, and what have they done to help this guy really get better?
Not a damn thing.
And so is Sam Darnold that bad, or was the teams that he played on that bad? You know, it's just one of those things, and I relate it to the kid out of Josh Rosen. When I think Sam Darnold, CUERVO, I think Rosen, because Rosen, obviously his situation was horrible. He went to Arizona. That was just a bad place for him to go. And then I forget, but he went to teams where they didn't, and this guy was supposed to be the prospect, the guy. And what did the actual team do for him? I didn't see anything for Josh Rosen, and it kind of reminds me of Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and it goes back to because we've had you've brought on a couple of people that have done interviews with us, and one thing that doesn't get talked about enough, people forget about, you don't think about it. It's not easy for a quarterback to be successful when year in and year out you get a new offensive coordinator, which means new offensive scheme, new playbook, new language, new everything. And you're asking these guys to say, hey, I need you to forget everything you learned last year, and now I want you to learn my stuff. Guys like Darnold, who year after year having to learn new stuff. I'm going to tell you something. I mean, I kind of feel for the guy.
Yeah.
Because he can't find himself in a situation like a Tom Brady, who had Josh McDaniels for years, like a Peyton Manning, who had Tom Moore for years in Indianapolis, and then moved over to Denver with Kubiak. There was consistency with the offense. Teams like the Jets, teams like the Panthers, there's a reason Carolina made this deal, Sonny. You may forget, Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers, was fired. Brought in a new guy. New guy probably said, nope, Darnold's not my guy. I want Baker Mayfield. And they went and they got the deal done. So that I know why Carolina did it. It's probably because their new offensive coordinator wants Baker Mayfield over Sam Darnold. But now Carolina is in a situation where they've got to figure out what they want to do with Darnold. And I'm going to tell you right now, Sonny, Darnold being the backup at Carolina, it's not going to be good.
I can't see how it could be.
It's not going to be a good situation. That's just as bad as Baker being Deshaun Watson's backup in Cleveland.
I'm just sitting here thinking, it's funny how you mentioned that, and how Sam and how that whole thing is going to play out, and how many teams have been in the same position before. You know, if you got two quarterbacks, it means you don't have one. I mean, how many times we've said that on this show? I mean,
right.
You know, but I can't help but kind of chuckle. You want to talk about a guy outside of players that have been really just kind of, screw you over as a coach, is Matt Rule. I'm not saying Matt Rule's a great quarterback or a great head coach. I'm not saying that. I can't say that. I've seen him and everything else. But it's not like that the franchise is helping him in any way in order for him to be successful as a coach. Kind of go back to Bill Belichick in the Cleveland Brown days. He didn't do anything to help Belichick be a good quarterback, i.e. head coach. Back in the days when he was with the Browns, he didn't do anything to help him. And I kind of look at Matt Rule as the same way, not because I think he is obviously, Bill Belichick, but as far as a franchise not helping this guy to get better. even offensively or defensively. This guy has jumped into a job where there's no way that this guy can be successful. And listen, say whatever you want. They're not going to get past Tampa Bay at all. And guess what? That's Tom Brady. They're not going to get past that. So then they got, who else they got in that? Atlanta. What are they doing at the quarterback? Marcus Mariota, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then the Saints, Jameis Winston. If they don't finish second in that division at best, because they're not going to win the division, Matt Rule's gone. And then you can say whatever you want about teams doing what they need to do, but sometimes as an organization you've got to help your team get better. Whether it is the example of the quarterback not having the offensive line, to Josh Rosen situation, or the Sam Darnold situation. What has the franchise done for the team lately in order to really improve the team? And as far as Matt Rule is concerned, all they did is brought back a what do they call it? A retread of Cam Newton, for God's sake.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, I mean, it's just, you're right though, Sonny. It's like, it's just great teams. When you look at the good teams in the NFL, the thing that they have, they have smart coaches and they got a good quarterback, but the thing that they have, and it is the most important thing that doesn't get spoke about enough, continuity in staff. Continuity in staff is so important, and nobody ever brings it up.
You want to know why it's important, Cuervo? I sent this to you.
Yeah. So let's stay here for a second, okay?
Yep.
Kansas City's number 1. Why? Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. And I know we have our opinions about Eric Bieniemy, but he's been there. It's the continuity, it's the consistency of that offense for since Alex Smith was there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So that's what you get with the Kansas City is continuity, it's consistency. New Orleans, Sean Payton. Obviously, this year's going to be way different, so we'll see how that goes. But that being said, he's been there. Pete Carmichael's been there for years. The Rams. I think the Rams, and I don't want to give too much away, Sonny, but I think the Rams, they kind of take a step back because O'Connell took that job in Minnesota.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
But before that, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, the continuity and consistency was there. New England, same thing. Belichick, McDaniels. Green Bay, Matt LaFleur, and their guys up there. Baltimore Ravens, John Harbaugh. It's been there for years with his guys. Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin. Yep. And nobody talks about that more than Bryce. And I wish he was here to speak more on it.
Why don't you just tell me go get a drug test?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Tennessee with Mike Vrabel and his his offensive guys. I mean, all these teams, all 10 of these teams that you see on this list right here, they have the continuity in their coaching that you need to be successful in this league. All these other teams.
You said that, it was almost like you were reading my mind. I did send this to you, but I don't even think you thought that was the context I was actually shooting for when you brought that up. It's when you're looking at the greats already going into next year, Cuervo, you know who the top 2 teams are in each division of the league or of the division. You know who the top 2 are and who could end up within the divisions, within the playoffs further on. And most of it goes to exactly what you're talking about is coaching. And listen, and by the way, I found this out and I thought it was really interesting, going back to a little bit of Baker Mayfield and this situation. to me, what I'm getting and from what I'm hearing and from what I'm reading, this is what is called a lack of trust between coaching and players is what they're talking about and what they're putting out publicly. But behind the scenes, Cuervo, there are three things that are causing problems, that caused problems with what's his name, Stanovich and Baker Mayfield.
Stefanski.
The problem, believe it or not, was they didn't like the fact that he had those outside commitments that didn't go within the time of the team, that i.e. commercials. And this is the reason why. And when I found this out, Baker Mayfield, during the time that the love affair was going on, he was late to 2 meetings. And the coach took this as a slap in the face and a loss because he was coming from commercials and the timing and everything to get to where he was going to do it made him late and things like that. Getting caught in traffic when he should, leave an hour early to show commitment to the team and things of this sort. Listen, I'm not a Baker Mayfield fan per se, but you're talking about a young guy. I mean, this guy's what, 24, 25 years old, and a big time quarterback, and everybody's throwing money at him. He's taking the money. You can't blame him. But the head coach had a huge problem with the fact, and we're talking out of all the meetings, Cuervo, that they have throughout the year, how many, they have at least 3 or 4 a week. And this guy can't get off the 2 he was late for. So, normally I'm on the coach's side here, Cuervo. Normally I'm on but this was from all the gathering I'm hearing, this was a big reason why there was a lack of trust between them and their heat that was going between them because of his outside commitments outside the football team. So that being said, of course, that's the name of the show. Normally, the end result of that is the coach not being there anymore, Cuervo. That's a coach that usually says adios. So what I kind of put together and what I was thinking about is that the organization is looking at the coaching was the reason why this team made it to where they were to the playoffs before they thought of Baker Mayfield. And I don't know if that was the right thinking per se. I mean, this is his second year, right? Second year coach. And
going into his third, I believe.
Going to his third. They made the playoffs. They've made the playoffs. So what makes him think that Jacoby Brissett is the mold that, or that the glue that holds this model together? I mean, and then you have the organization go, yeah, coach is right. And it's not like this guy has developed a reputation of being a GOAT at that coaching position. Like I said, it's his second year. But normally in that case, Cuervo, the coach is the one that is usually walking out the door more so than the player.
Yeah. And you know what? And this may be, first of all, I called BS on the coach trying to show to Baker Mayfield that he's the one in charge. Listen, Sonny, if I told you that it didn't kind of grind my gears when I had my guys under my charge, back in my previous life.
Yes.
Not everybody was on time all the time.
Right.
But did I flip out about it? And did I say, wow, I'm just going to ruin your career over it? No. As long as my thing was always let me know ahead of time if it's going to happen. That doesn't
Right.
mean it's okay, and you're still going to get slap on the wrist for it.
Yep.
You're for the day, but that doesn't constitute like you know kind of talking in football terms. I'm going to trade you because you were late to 2 meetings out of however many.
Except the pettiness.
Yeah, it is kind of petty. Now, if it was the other way around, like he was late every meeting and he was only on time for 2, that's different.
Yes.
Now that shows a lack of commitment. That shows lack of trust. That shows that no respect, lack of respect. Because I know the difference. I've seen the difference when guys respect their leadership and when they don't. And it shows in those type of things. Showing up on time to work, your appearance in your uniform and stuff like that, right? So it does make a difference, and it does reflect.
But let me ask you this, Cuervo. Since you made that example, wouldn't you want to shape up that person more so than ship them out? I mean, maybe it's because I already think I already know the answer to that. Is you want to be the solution to that problem instead of pushing it onto somebody else.
Well, sure, because whether someone's under my charge or someone else's, if you don't fix the problem, it's just gonna be there.
Right.
And it's just gonna be there for the next person and the next
and
guy.
It'll reflect on you to a certain extent, right, Cuervo? I mean,
well, it'll reflect on everyone that didn't take the opportunity to try and fix it. You know what I mean? So it's that to me is it's a character thing.
Yes.
It's not even behavior, it's character as far as punctuality and whatnot. So but for Baker Mayfield though, I don't think it speaks bad about his character, because it's not like the dude was out partying, right?
Yes.
And he just showed up late and he smelled like alcohol and hung over and stuff like that. He was coming off set from a commercial, from what you're saying, so it's like he stepped away from one profession to his primary job, which is playing football. But guys, they have other things that they're doing. So even for me, when I had guys that were late, but it's because they were doing something else work related, no harm, no foul, right?
Right.
Because it's still work. But if you're showing up late because you're hungover and you smell like alcohol and you didn't shave your face, or it's Monday and you didn't get your hair cut over the weekend, I had a problem with that. I had a very big problem with that.
Especially Mr. High and Tight himself, right?
Yeah. Look, and I did what I had to do, and that meant, probably getting under your skin because I would be late for the show or be fashionably late.
You by the way, you never have to worry about that with me. We've had that talk before.
Yeah, but I know that you understood, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
The fact that you knew it was for a reason. It's because of, what I do to make a living.
Yep.
And for Baker Mayfield, that's part of what he does to make a living, which is making commercials. It's another source of income for him.
Yep.
So I think Stefanski was it's almost like, when I think about this, I think about the situation in San Francisco with Jim Harbaugh.
Okay.
Where they let him go because he was getting too much credit for all the success that the Niners were having. So the GM was like, well, no, it's because of me. And it became an ego thing. And I think Stefanski, he let his ego get in the way and kind of painted a bad picture to the front. Now, this is my belief. This is Cuervo's conspiracy here. So I think Stefanski kind of painted an ugly picture to front office. We got to let Baker go. He's not committed. He's been late to meetings, and it's kind of really, really overblowing the reality of it. And I think that's what kind of maybe why Baker was so resentful with the Browns, because they were taking his word over Baker's.
Right.
And so the Browns, I think what the Browns did is they made it a point to say, we are loyal to the coach.
Yes.
And no player got power over the coach. And I understand that. I just think at the same time, I think there was a better way to kind of resolve all that.
Absolutely. Now, just to throw another thing that's being not talked about in the public, but behind the scenes and things of the sort, another thing where was I make sure I say it right. The reaction of play calling to Baker Mayfield, especially against the Pittsburgh Steelers and TJ Watt. One of the and this happened more than once because obviously they pay twice a year. And this past year they had a rookie on TJ Watt, and Baker Mayfield came freaking unglued. Now, where he came unglued is where might be part of the problem as well, because he came unglued at the game, on the field, on the sideline, and losing his mind because listen, you can't put to Baker's credit, okay, you can't just put a rookie on TJ Watt. All right, TJ Watt's is going to eat him up. So there goes with a little bit of the confidence that Baker had with his coach, not putting him in the position to be successful, at least as far as that example is concerned. But that example has been talked about. If you kind of look it up, it's kind of leaked its way out a little bit. And Baker Mayfield was really upset the way of the play calling that was happening out on the football field at certain times. So situational play calling, Baker Mayfield, not experienced quarterback, but kind of knows what should be kind of where you maybe some assignments that he's picked up a little bit later on his years going, why do we have a rookie on TJ Watt? Well, if you say that on Sunday morning, why would you have, and they go through that and you don't know that's going to happen. The last thing you're thinking is that the Browns are only going to have a one-on-one with a rookie going up against TJ Watt. So they were saying that if you knew that, you knew they wouldn't win that game. And guess what? That's what ended up happening. They didn't win those games against the Steelers when it was that one-on-one. There's where that lack of trust is coming. So a combination of a few things, and there's obviously a lot more that we're not hearing, as far as that is concerned. But you're right, Cuervo. This is a franchise that said the coaches are going to be the ones that are going to make the decisions. Good, bad, or indifferent. In my case, I think it's bad because if you don't know where you've been for the last 30 years and you know where you are now and you can't figure out a way to get that to work, it's almost like saying I got Peyton Manning, but we're winning, but we got to get rid of Peyton. At some point, you got to be able to.
Yeah. Well, yes. I think another way you could say it too is, hey, look, I know you're Peyton Manning, but I'm the coach. I'm in charge. Right. You're gonna do what I say. Okay, fine.
Yes.
And some guys they'll go with it. They know what's gonna happen,
right?
But they let it happen anyways. And I'm guilty. I've done that too, where I try to make recommendations. They don't want to hear it. I already know what the outcome is gonna be.
Yep.
And when it happens,
I'm not
telling you. You know what I mean? But so
the love affair between those two are obviously not there. But the other name that's out there, and the Browns have been rumored this last 3 days, because I've heard it over on SiriusXM NFL channel, is that the Browns are trying to make a play for Jimmy G. Now, listen, yes, I know. I was like, wait a second, Jimmy G. Now, granted, I didn't think Baker was going anywhere at all. I figured they figured out. I thought, especially with the Watson situation. By the way, the Watson situation up on top of this tells you keep Baker Mayfield. Okay, the guy, if he plays, it'll be because of conspiracy couches reason. Last year was the real suspension, and now they're moving forward, and they're talking about a suspension, and Watson's going, wait a second, I already did that, and so the only thing I can think of, okay, is that. Now, as far as bringing in Jimmy G. Over, if you're Browns, you're talking, yes, but you're spending more money on Jimmy G than you did Baker, and you could have threw money at Baker to try to make him happy and try to kiss and make this thing put together. Remember where they haven't been for the last 30 years? Sometimes you kiss your mother and you don't want to. That's the same damn thing. Just give them $4 or $5 more million to get them through this year and see where they're going to be at the end of this year based upon their stupid mistake that they made trying to bring in Deshaun Watson at the crazy, contract that they did. Am I wrong? Did they? I mean, now they're going to try to bring in a $25 million guy in Jimmy G. Now, they're not going to have to pay all of that if they do it right, I guess. The 49ers will take a little hit on that, but they're still going to have to pay 15, 16 million of that contract, I would think. So I think they went in a roundabout thing. They've got a quarterback, carousel going on. Same thing with the Panthers for the 5 years. They're going to get caught into this carousel for the Browns if they're not careful. Because Jimmy G is no more than a 2-year guy, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's in his contract year now, going into this year with the Niners. That just sounds like, and I think you've made this comment recently, it just sounds like a very Cleveland Brown thing to do. Let's get rid of the cheaper quarterback who's actually brought our team to the playoffs and bring in a guy that is more expensive, and we don't know for sure if he can take us to the playoffs.
And we don't know if he'll play because he's coming off an injury.
And he's coming off injury. So, yeah, let's do that. That sounds like a great idea. So Cleveland Browns of them, Sonny.
Oh, man. And why? Why, Cuervo?
That's what I do.
Yeah, I think Mark Henry's the GM secretly. He's the
That's
GM.
what he thought. And you're right. I mean, it's almost as bad as
Bears
this guy.
are who we thought they were.
You had to, didn't you? You just
had to. I had to say it. Anyway, because I haven't played
Funny. Man, that stab to the side.
Dang.
That hurt.
But anyway, the situation, this, and by the way, the 49ers, have they been in the playoffs for the last 2 years? Have they been close to knocking on the freaking door to the freaking Super Bowl?
With a quarterback, not Trey Lance.
It sure the hell hasn't been Trey Lance, and they want to put all their eggs in the same basket of Trey Lance. And now, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say Trey Lance is not a good quarterback. But how do they know he's a good quarterback? This guy hasn't played in the NFL enough to where he go, oh yeah, by God, there we go. And then I always go back to this.
That's your IQ, buddy, 0.
Why would you think that Trey Lance can take over the 49ers with literally little to zero experience in the NFL? He's played 3-4 games, maybe, Cuervo, and they weren't good. So what makes you think that he can take that step instead of having Jimmy Garoppolo and you go, oh yeah, Trey Lance is our guy, and who the GM or the thinking or what they think that they could get back to the playoffs or even make the playoffs, or even just within their own division. I mean, you got the Rams to figure out, and if the Arizona Cardinals get their head up on straight and get back in the love affair with Kyler Murray, there's no chance they're not going to be anything but third in this division if you take Trey Lance. You have Jimmy Garoppolo, you're battling the Rams to win the division, and that's just not even looking at anything right now.
Right. I don't know, Sonny. It just kind of makes you wonder sometimes what these teams are thinking.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times these GMs, they think they're smarter than everyone else. And they and they make moves like what the Browns are doing or what the Niners have been contemplating doing, which is trading Garoppolo. Like, I'm not saying Garoppolo's
financial situation for the next 5 years, CUERVO. At one position.
Who's that?
The guy that might not even play on a guaranteed contract.
Oh, Cleveland, yeah. Well, I that's the other part of it too. I think by them trading Baker, I think the Browns know something. I really do. I think.
Are you saying as far as the contract is concerned?
As far as the suspension is concerned, or no suspension, I think the Browns know something they can't really say yet.
I think I'm right. I think I've hit the hell. I think I've hit the head on this, and everybody.
I will say this, Sonny.
They're holding back up on the money, CUERVO.
I don't know if last year was this. I don't know if last year was the official suspension, but I just think that I don't think it's going to be this year. I think he's going to play.
I think he is too, because I think
Watson will play.
It may not have been the official one, but it was the come over here. This is so behind the doors, CUERVO, and this is collusion between the NFL, the Cleveland Browns, and Watson all together, and that's the reason why he's going to play. I'm going to tell you right now, Watson's going to play week number 1. There's no doubt in my mind, because this should have already been figured. This should have been figured out already. There's absolutely no reason not to, for the last 2 months, to suspend this guy. Never mind the last 6. There's nothing that has changed. He has settled out 22 of the 24, settled out and all done and over with, and there's only 2 left. This thing is setting up pretty for him to walk in there. Now, granted, he'll only make $1 million this year in case they do suspend him. But CUERVO, I think this thing is set up for him because of the Cleveland Browns and Roger Goodell. Roger went to Cleveland and said, just like he would Jerry Jones, CUERVO. They went to Cleveland and said, listen, this dude can't play. Right now, so do us a favor, make your franchise look good and suspend this guy by not necessarily suspending him, but not putting him on the roster, but still paying him. See, everybody keeps coming back at me, well, he still got paid, so he really wasn't suspended. When you miss 17 games as a quarterback and you're Deshaun Watson, you can't tell me that doesn't make a difference in this guy's career.
Definitely does.
And I get the funny part of it, but I don't.
Mentally, he's a year behind, Sonny, and that's not an insult to his intelligence. I'm saying from a quarterback's perspective in playing the game, like having a feel of the speed of the game, having a feel of the defense, having just a feel of being on the field. He's a year behind now.
Absolutely. Not only that, CUERVO, think about this. If it's an injury, it's a total different thing. He's coming off an injury. That's totally different than the guy was 100% healthy, CUERVO. There was no reason for Deshaun Watson not to be out on the football field. 0. So that will take a toll up on the mental side of the game for him, CUERVO. I think you're absolutely right.
You know, and it's crazy too, because it just makes you think that what Michael Vick was able to do when he came back, when he was released from prison.
That's a good point.
Was that much more impressive. For him to step back on the field.
He played well.
Still do what he was able to do. How many guys can just get back on the field like that and just take over games like Vick did?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, we talked about the 5-year guy team, right, Cuervo? We the continuity with the coaching and everything. But I wanted to throw this one up. I don't know how many of these I sent to you, if I did or if I didn't.
Yeah, I saw this one.
This one here is a who's who of greats, and then a who's who of who are you kind of deal. You think about it.
Pennington, holy cow.
Hey, Jim Harbaugh's on this, Cuervo, and this when he was a Colt.
Yeah, I remember that.
But look at Steve Young all over this thing, Peyton Manning all over this thing. But these are over the last 32 seasons of the NFL. It's a who's who, and when I look at them, I see 1, 2, 3, 4. I see 4, maybe 5 that are not going to be in the Hall of Fame out of the last 32, which tells you something about the consistency of your quarterback on where he's going to be. So, and these numbers, if you look at all these numbers, there's not one under 100 on the passer rating. And by the way, Ryan Tannehill in 19, he just went off with 117, which no one would have ever thought that he would be. And no one is even thinking of him as a Hall of Famer. I don't think it, no one's right, Cuervo. No one's thinking Ryan Tannehill as a Hall of Famer, right?
No, not that I know of.
Yeah, I don't think so. So I don't have him there. I don't have Chad Pennington. I don't have Steve McNair on that list as far as that is concerned. I don't think Jim Harbaugh's in the Hall of Fame. I don't think.
No,
so. And so you got about 5 names on here. That just goes to show, you talked about the continuity at the quarterback position. Then you get the consistency of guys that are on there multiple times. Steve Young, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, guys that are on here multiple times. What that does does that for them. So there are certain guys that are setting themselves up to be really good, Cuervo. All right, so. And all this comes into play at the quarterback position. And looking at the first 2 seasons, you're looking at Justin Herbert with names like Dan Marino. Now, Derek Carr, I'm not impressed with, but Russell Wilson, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes, Jameis Winston doesn't impress me. Carson Palmer, that was because he was with the team that was throwing the football with Cincinnati at that time. So, guys that are setting themselves up to be superstars to get on maybe on this list that we were just looking at. You got guys that are being, putting themselves in a position. And we haven't talked about it because we're going to run through it. But man, all I've been hearing is the Chargers are going to the Super Bowl. I mean, I've been hearing that all over the Cuervo.
Okay.
Well, and I know they got weapons, and I know they got a defense.
Sure.
But I mean, Super Bowl, isn't that kind of a hard pick with a team where we talk about consistency and coaching and playing, and the Chargers not being that team in the past as well as where they are kind of right now, because when they lose games, Cuervo, they lose bad games. They lose real bad games.
Yeah. I just think the Chargers are still a team that's trying to learn how to win certain games.
Exactly.
And they'll get there eventually. Especially with Herbert at quarterback, I think they're going to be there. They just need a little bit more time. But what doesn't help, though, is that whole division got better.
Oh, yes.
The Raiders got better.
Yes.
You can make the argument that Kansas City's better, addition through subtraction.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So
depending, on how that goes.
And then, obviously, Denver, which, by the way, my wife's
quarterback and the defense.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife's ready for the season, by the way.
Yeah.
She's got her Wilson jersey ready to go.
All right, there you go.
So, Yep. But yeah, the whole division got better. So
Yeah.
it's tough. I mean, you talking about Super Bowl, you got to win that. You got to get through that division to even think about the Super Bowl.
I agree. I'm sitting here going, you listen, you can say whatever you want about Denver, but now you got to beat them. When you bring in a guy like a Russell Wilson, it changes the whole dynamic of the football team, regardless, because of who he is as a Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl participant that they didn't win. So you have a two-time Super Bowl guy in there. It changes the whole attitude of the team, and obviously the situation with the coaching and all that stuff. So all the stuff's got to be put together, but as far as other teams, as far as the Chargers, what they're doing, the Broncos are a team. They are dark horse because they're not as bad as their last year says that they are. Same thing with the Raiders. The Raiders were the convicts of the team, but they still made the freaking playoffs last year, Cuervo. The Raiders made the playoffs with all the things that were going on that football team. So only one team didn't make it into the Chargers made it. Yeah. So only one team in that division didn't make the playoffs. So that's going to be a real interesting division. I have a feeling we're going to be in different places in that division alone. I think the AFC North is another division of football we probably might not see eye to eye. We'll probably see eye to eye on a lot of them, but I think those two divisions are going to be really interesting.
Yeah, normally we are on the same with the divisions. We're normally about the same as far as what we see. Might be a team here and there that we flip. But yeah,
I'm looking forward to that. And we got to start that up. Are we starting late July on that?
Yeah, I would say last weekend of July or
okay.
Let me look at the calendar.
That'll be NFC and AFC. We'll just start.
I would say the very last weekend in July.
Okay. And which one are we going to start with? We usually go east to west. Do you want to go west to east next, or do you want to wait and just see how that? Because I'll tell you, especially in the AFC West, I want to see where it's going to be as we get closer to the season. Who's going to be there? Who's not? Who's going to get injured? Who's not? What? Because it happens every year, Cuervo. There's three guys that were expected to be the man to take them through the whole season that go down in training camp at some point. It happens every single year.
And because I want to say OTAs and training camp start probably in the next couple of weeks, right?
I thought they actually started next week or the week after. So I think it's really close. They're about ready to get at it. So, and interestingly enough, Cuervo, what about, remember what Von Miller said? Did you see it? I mean, I don't know if I said it.
Yeah.
I might send you a different one because I got two.
I saw both of them.
Yep. Yeah, I got two of them. But I think I have to ask the question, Cuervo.
Well, can you go back? I got to read the rest of that quote.
Oh, okay. Let me bring it back up. And it's the same one. He says, I told him I was ready to come to the Cowboys. I would have taken less to go to Dallas because it's Dallas, but I wouldn't take that much less. And then there it is. And so,
wow.
I don't know if I believe him. I mean, because if you want to go to Dallas and you're Von Miller, why would you want to go to Dallas?
He's from there. He's from Texas, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, there you go.
Well, he went to A&M. He went to A&M.
Well, I knew he went to Texas A&M, but he could do the same thing down in Houston. I mean, God, which one's better? Yeah,
Sonny, nobody wants to go to Houston.
Well, no one wants to go to Houston. I get that, but okay, yeah, different levels of marketing and yeah, all right, I get it, but Cuervo, I'm calling BS on this. I'm not believing this 1 second, not 1 second, because you know who he plays for now.
I believe him.
Buffalo Bills. You think he'd do it? Do you think he's got that much love for the Dallas area?
Yeah.
That much different?
Yes.
Well, there are no taxes, so the money might have worked itself out. So there are no state taxes in Texas. So
hold on a second. How long was that Von Miller deal in Buffalo?
I don't know. I thought it was a 4-year deal with a lot of money. So you tell me, you got Google working. Your fingers are faster than mine.
I'm scrolling.
It's like, but I know it was a big one. But
6 years. So 6 year, 120 mil.
6 year, $20 million a year. This guy was, and by the way, he ain't playing for 6 more years. That's not happening. He's too old. He's not going to play for another 6 years. So,
Sonny, you ready?
How much was the guaranteed money?
You ready for this?
Go for it.
He plays 3 years in Buffalo, and then he finishes in Dallas.
But what would be the reasoning for that? Wouldn't he be past his prime? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this guy's so young, but I thought he was getting up there. How old is Von Miller? It should say right there in your look. How old is he? He's like
Von Miller.
I thought he was in his 30s. He's played for Denver.
Von Miller's 33.
I was going to say he's on the other side of 30. And he signs a 6-year deal that he's going to play until he's 39. I ain't buying that BS as far as you can pick him up and throw him.
He'll play 3 years in Buffalo. That'll take him to 30.
And then go steal money in Dallas thinking that they got somebody.
Right. He'll play 3 in Buffalo, and then he'll go to Dallas, and he'll retire. He'll retire out of Dallas.
Oh, man.
That's my prediction.
Interesting. I tell you, it's I find that hilarious.
Or he goes back to Denver for a year.
Well, if they're good enough.
Yeah. If they're
how long will the Russell Wilson love affair last up there? I mean, he's the best quarterback they've had since Dan Marino. So
where?
Or not Dan Marino.
Since Peyton.
I guess you. Come on.
Before that, John Elway?
Yeah, before that, because come on. I don't want to insult you or anything, but Peyton Manning did not play all that great in Denver, although they got the Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong, and I'm glad he did. Because
what?
I would not. What I would CUERVO. Come on. There, I understand the love of Peyton Manning. But
what? Exactly, Bryce.
CUERVO. I don't know his numbers, but he did not play well. I mean, come on, you're a football purist, and I know you got mad love, but he did not play well.
Sonny.
Now he brought the team together great, and he brings the winning atmosphere. I get it, but do you honestly think Peyton Manning played Peyton Manning quarterback football in Denver?
Yeah, yes. And you're lucky the wife is asleep because I was gonna let her give it to you. Sonny, she had to work an overnight shift, so that's why she's asleep right now.
Oh man.
Sonny, have you already forgotten what he did in 2013?
Maybe.
He only broke every passing record, single season passing record that year. Yards.
What, for Denver or for the NFL?
For Denver, yes.
Okay. Listen, CUERVO, listen. I'm going to say this with all due respect to John Elway. John Elway's numbers years back, all right, that's like Troy Aikman's numbers. That's like Bradshaw's numbers. They were great then, but they're not the same today. So him going and breaking all those records, I guess it's great to be the record holder. But hold on, and I've got to pull this up because I don't think I'm now. Hold on, now I don't want you to think that I'm really incredibly insanely stupid. Okay. All right, so I've got the numbers up. Okay, so there it is. So I guess I have to come by and for at least 1 year and I have to say that. All right, I didn't realize he threw for 5,700 yards or 5,400 yards in Denver in
And
2013.
55 touchdowns.
And so I was just unaware.
That's why I'm your co-host, Sonny.
Yeah,
That's why
I
I'm your
was
co-host.
unaware he played that well, because I think the lingering thing that's on my mind was his Super Bowl appearance.
Oh yeah, he was
that year he wasn't all that.
He was
great
bad that year. He was a disaster that year.
All right, cool.
He was bad that year.
I get it, and I know you told me.
I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. I told you so.
So 2 years. He was pretty good for 2 years. He threw for 57, and the 55 touchdowns you were talking about. And 2014 wasn't too bad. 4,739 touchdowns. So those aren't really horrible, but I do still stand behind the John Elway numbers. They were two different leagues at the times that they were playing. So for him to blow that out of the water, I'm not impressed. So, it'd be like, Dak's broken all of Troy Aikman's records. Okay. So who cares? That's a different era of football. So the numbers, get skewed. I mean, you would think that Terry Bradshaw was the baddest quarterback to ever play the game based upon how many Super Bowls that he won and everything. And if you look at the numbers, you're looking at in between 2,700 yards and 3,500 yards. And you don't even scratch the surface with today's quarterbacks at 3,000 yards. So, it's kind of one of those things, 3,500.
Well, and that was the standard back then. 3,000 yards. That was a great year.
That was the standard. You're right. So, and funny thing enough, if you think about it, it was Matthew Stafford that really made that aware to me, because this guy couldn't win a playoff game to do it, but the guy was throwing for 4,000 or 5,000 yards in a season with the freaking Lions. So, it's one of, when I look at it as a whole and where quarterbacks are going, it's very easy for me, as far as quarterback is concerned, is to take a look at the era and figure out who, like Troy Aikman, would be in today's NFL. Okay. All right. So when you're looking at Troy Aikman, in his prime, I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes, kind of the same kind of guy, but just he's got a few more things that Troy wouldn't do, like run the ball. Listen, say whatever you want about Patrick Mahomes, so he could scramble. Listen, Troy Aikman wasn't known to scramble. He was just known to use his arm. And so we got more additions to what the quarterback does today compared to what they did back in Aikman's day.
Yeah, I just brought it up because you said Peyton didn't play very Peyton-like in Denver.
Yeah, I'm falling back up on that last season. So yeah. By the way, he should have won another Super Bowl there. It should have been the year he threw for the 5,700 yards. That was the one he didn't.
That's when Seattle just went Legion of Bunghole all over him.
All over him. Yeah, it's just like so. But all right, so I was.
You were rude.
And CUERVO's over here going,
IQ, buddy, 0.
You tell him, Coach. You tell him.
So now that being said, only thing that I had really is the Von Miller. I added this on. It's the cycle of what the Dallas Cowboys are for the last 25, 26 years, CUERVO.
That's it. Sonny, let's save that one throughout the season, okay?
Yeah, exactly. And we'll
be like, all right, where are they in the cycle?
We'll find out where they are. So the season will start. We'll throw that up and then see how they do and see if they can get there. And the one that I think is really funny is the fans get delusional, because that's exactly what happens.
We them boys.
Super Bowl, week 6, Super Bowl, baby.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to watch that defense fall apart. Maybe it's because I want to say I told you so. I want to do the dance. But their defense is not going to get eaten up. There's too much film now. I'm sorry. These defensive coordinators, all they do in the offseason, CUERVO, all they do is look at film. And especially knowing who they're going to play. They look at film every single day. hours upon hours upon hours watching for the little things that makes a team successful, and they just tear it down. And the Cowboys are the easiest one because they have a guy who had a lot of interceptions, but gave up a lot of yards. Well, he's not going to get that many interceptions this year. Listen, I'll tell you what, Parsons is a bad MFer. There is no question that guy. Now, and if they could keep up what they did last year, maybe they got an opportunity. But listen, even Vegas is saying that's going downhill, especially on the defensive side of the ball. These coaches are just so they've got the trained eye, Cuervo, where they can see exactly what's going to go on, and they are going to pick him apart this offseason. And week number one, he might have a good game here and there because the team they'll play is so bad, i.e. the Giants. They maybe Washington, because I think Philly should be somewhat decent. But they're going to have these bad teams where he might shine one or two, maybe 3 or 4 games. But there's now 17 games. And out of the 17, I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to have a bad defensive showing in at least 10 of those 17 games. So, and that's because the defensive coordinators doing what they do best, which is eat, drink, and find the little things that stop you from being a good football team. So,
yep, absolutely.
Now,
we'll see.
That's all I had. I think I sent you all the slides that kind of kept you up on form, kind of where we're going for the last couple of weeks. So I'll do that because when I get them, I can just send them on so you can have an idea where we'll go. But man, you did the great direction on that on the one part with the Jordan thing. Thanks. Yeah, you did great with the direction on the Jordan thing. I didn't even thought you were going to go there. You did good. I like it.
The Jordan thing?
Yeah, you went and did it. You fed into where I was going. In other words, when we were talking.
Oh yeah. No, I mean we've been doing this long enough, Sonny.
Yeah,
I know where.
So. I think
like
so.
I
didn't know. I didn't think you get that one, but you went on that one. Not that I'm smarter or anything. It's just I was thinking I was going to go into a different direction. But that's all I got. I mean, there's lots of stuff that's being talked about. I grabbed up what I thought was being talked about. But is there anything I'm missing? Anything going on while we've been on that we have any breaking news? I mean, did you get a do?
I
get those.
Well, since you like tennis,
yeah,
you are a tennis guy.
What do you think I've been doing for the last 2 weeks? We don't talk about it because no one wants to hear it. Go ahead, tell me what's going on. What I missed.
Right. So this is about an hour into the show or so. Novak Djokovic beats Nick Kyrgios for.
I didn't know how to pronounce that guy's name, so I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. For listen, 4th straight Wimbledon.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, and this is tough because one of my heroes is John McEnroe. Okay.
Yep.
Joke might just end up just making him almost irrelevant as far as history is concerned. That guy has got the best serve I think I've ever seen in tennis, on a consistent level. I mean, listen, no one can serve like John McEnroe. But Joke, man, I'm telling you right now, that ball's coming to you at 120 mile an hour, for God's sake. It's unbelievable. Yes, I've been watching, plus ESPN Plus has had, and I've been watching doubles. I've been watching, the mixed doubles and all of them. I've been watching all, but the Serena Williams out in the first round kind of got me.
Yeah, it's always shocking, and that's happened a few times, but it never gets like less shocking. Every time
it doesn't, because you would think that she would be able to at least get out of the first round, and the fact that she couldn't, I don't want to say that almost like puts the marker in the chapter of the end of her career, but man, I don't think she'll want to go out that way. So we'll see her again, whether it's in the U.S. Open here in a couple of months. She won't go out that way. Show, but you watch. Serena Williams will be in the U.S. Open. Just anything just to get over that first round, defeat in Wimbledon, and then go out a different way. And what I'd like to see is that they go down against Venus, but Venus isn't playing. So, the love and the want of what I want to see isn't going to happen. But if they called it a career, I would like to see Venus and Serena playing together to call it the career. Because those guys used to battle it out. 10 years ago, those two, listen, those were the best tennis matches on the women's side that they had going on between those two. Power to grace is what I kind of called that. And usually power won, and that's what I mean. But Venus got in there a couple of times. Well, yeah, so listen, that guy's going to be one of the best to ever play the game, and there have been many.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, man, I love Wimbledon 2 weeks. And the same thing, I love the U.S. Open. One of these days, I don't have a lot of bucket list things to do, but I would love to go to the U.S. Open.
Do it.
I think I want to. I'm telling you right now, not to get too political. I don't want to be in too many big crowds right now. I don't know. I just being in crowds right now. There's something about it that just makes me uneasy. It makes me just want to go home. I had a chance to go to wrestling last night, and I was just like,
yeah, I'm good.
No, I'm going home. If this thing gets under control, I guess there's been a mass shooting almost every day this year. And dude, I'm surprised it hasn't. And those that are listening, I'm surprised it hasn't happened at U-Haul yet. So it's just like where I work. But yeah, so there's been. So I'm a little bit leery right now about being out in public. It has nothing to do with COVID. It just has to do with crazy.
Yeah, I understand.
Now I'm going to ask you. You were on vacation just this past week. Well, you're a military man. You're not afraid of anything. You're more afraid for other people than you are yourself. I'm just afraid for myself per se. Because I'm talking about going out by myself. You wouldn't have a problem going to a baseball game right now, would you?
No, not at all.
You go right now.
Yes, sir.
I can't say I've gotten to that point yet. I haven't.
I've been.
It has nothing to do with COVID. It has to do with crazy. So it's just like, I don't want to wish any bad things, but something like that's going to happen. I'm going to be sitting front row, or I'm going to have to be diving my fat ass out of the way, which no one wants to see. So as soon as I feel a little bit more better about being in a public place, But so was your trip? You didn't have any. You were in Seattle. You're in the Seattle area. Everything cool and kosher.
Yeah. We were up in the state of Washington. Went to a couple different towns.
So everything was cool. No fear, no nothing. You see, you guys are fearless. I might be fearless if I was 15 years younger, maybe. I don't know. So yeah, but you're 35, right?
No, I wish. I appreciate.
No. You went in. No, you're 40.
I will be next month.
40, yeah. So because you did the 20 years, you went in at 19. So yeah, 40. But still, 40 to 50, that's 15 years. I'd probably be more brave about it 15 years ago than I would today, I guess. I don't know. Maybe old people start getting scared. If something moves really fast, we're on alert. It was just a car.
Just a kid on a skateboard.
Yeah. And I don't get that too. But I was in Target, and I thought Heelys had gone away, CUERVO. I really did. I thought Heelys had gone away.
Mm-hmm.
Evidently, they haven't, because this kid had the toe up too, because they're Heelys. So he had the toe up and just gliding through a Target. And I'm sitting here thinking, I've lost my mind. I'm just like, really? I thought that went away. So I guess are Heelys still out and about and still popular?
Skateboards? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. So. I have a hard time keeping up with that trend.
At least here in California, they're still pretty popular.
Well, see, but that makes sense to me, though. This is Texas.
Mm-hmm.
There are no beaches around here except in Galveston. So, yeah, maybe South Houston. Near the but in California, that makes sense. But that's all I got.
One more small note. Something that happened this morning. I don't know if you heard about it. His offensive lineman, Dwayne Brown. I'm sure you're familiar with that name.
The name sounds familiar.
Played for the Seahawks. Played for, I think
that's when they were drafting offensive linemen for their quarterback. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, those days. Well, apparently he got over here in LA at the airport, LAX. He was arrested for a gun charge. I guess he had a gun. Something
at an airport.
I'm
sorry. How do you miss not checking your gun at the airport? I don't know. That's Airport 101. I don't carry a gun, but if I had one, I would think that would be airport. How do you forget? Okay, I'll ask you because you're a gun expert. I can actually say that you're a gun. Do you forget that you got a gun in your bag?
No. There's no way you would forget that.
See, that's realistic to me. You don't forget you got the gun. How do you forget you got the gun? You're walking through. I'm just not. All these people say, I forgot I don't buy that for 2 seconds.
No, it's not mine.
No, yeah, that one. Yeah.
That's the other one.
So, interesting as it so. We haven't talked about it. Brittany
Griner
over in Russia. She goes in and she pleads guilty. And the guilt, I thought it might be the best guilty plea I've ever heard anybody say. That she did not intend to break the law. She didn't realize she had the wrong ones. And it was not her intent to break that law. And that's probably the best admission of guilt I've probably ever heard, because she was making excuses, but at least they were reasonable. You know what I'm saying? Instead of the unreasonable situation there. So she pleads guilty. So the question will be is how long will she get? Because some of the readings I got is that the amount that she had would have only got her 3 weeks in jail. She's been in there or 3 months in jail. She's already been in there forever. And so I don't know, was that a good strategy or should she have fought it? Man, I'm really kind of confused about this one.
I think I'm not buying it as much as you are.
Okay.
I think you're believing her a little more than I am.
Okay.
I just think that, that whole, I didn't know. You did, and you just got caught. That's all it is.
So that's what you got. When I first heard it, I was like, wait, you stupid? And I thought maybe I was being too harsh, I guess. And I don't know if it's because everybody's lightening up on marijuana, and this is Mary juice, I call it, Mary oil. I don't know if I'm just lightening up on the idea of people that do it, but at the same time, you got to know where you're going. I would think that,
Yes, exactly. If you're a foreign, Sonny, here's the thing: if you're traveling to a foreign country, you're a foreigner,
right?
I would think that's something you want to know. Like, hey, what are your laws here like? Can I have A, B, and C, items, whatever? And so, that's the one thing about the whole situation. What really bothers me about this, though, are some of the comments that she's made recently about, if I was LeBron James, if I was Tom Brady, I'd be out of jail.
Let me just clarify that, because she was not the one that said that. However, her coaches, people close to her and everything, she hasn't been in a place to be able to say something like that. but I'm not buying that either. That's so I don't know if she's one actually saying that and they're just relaying what she's saying. I don't know if you've heard any different.
Okay, well, I didn't necessarily. I thought that came straight from her mouth.
No, that came from first. It came from her coach.
Then the coach is wrong.
But to your point, Cuervo. To your point, I guess I'm gonna fall back on what you just said. I don't think LeBron James would be that stupid to know what he can and cannot take into a different country. This guy travels the world, so I don't think he's all that dumb.
Well, so, he would have somebody advising him at least.
I would think someone's Listen, something tells me that LeBron James doesn't pack his own bags. I don't know. Maybe he's a billionaire, so he doesn't do much of anything he don't want to do. And I don't think packing is on the top of his list.
Probably not. Probably not.
Yes, but now to the point that was made, that is, if LeBron James was that stupid, if Tom Brady was that stupid, would this be something that was done? I can't intelligently speak to something like that. I guess. Do you think that this wouldn't be and LeBron James would be home?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think
the political thing and the fact that they got that, I think they get off on it more than anything. Yeah, we got LeBron. That might go nowhere. He's saying right here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if there's any validity to the statement. And maybe it's because it's just so unfathomable. I guess it's just, probably my thinking. I don't know. So when people say, well, if that was LeBron, he'd be home. I don't know if I can intelligently speak on that, because to me, even making that statement sounds stupid.
Yeah, exactly. I
don't know. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to answer the question, I don't know. I don't know if he would be or not. I mean, the point is they're not in a Russian prison. You are, so
yeah. So it's hard to intelligently speak about that. I guess if I go off what I think I know, which is not a lot. Let me just preface that, because I know nothing about foreign policy, foreign or anything. I think they get off on the fact they had LeBron James for whatever reason, regardless how small or how big it may be. I think they get off on it, and they would probably wouldn't have him home. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, and again, like you said, we don't really talk a whole lot of politics on this show. But it'd be a hell of a bargaining chip to have somebody of that stature in your possession.
Listen,
the Russian government.
Would you have known who she was if she wasn't in the news? Be honest, because I'm gonna be honest.
I know who Brittany Griner was.
I knew who she was because she played for the WNBA in Phoenix. So
I knew her when she was at Baylor.
So yeah, and I didn't know about her in Baylor, and Baylor's right down the street, and I was there when she was there. So, but I knew about her because of Phoenix, because I kind of keep up with Phoenix sports, and she was, Phoenix.
The Mercury.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, what was the name of that thing? So, so I did know about her for there. So, but outside of that, if it was anybody else, because if they were outside the Phoenix market, and it wasn't Sparks, the other girl in LA, it's the only other WNBA star I kind of knew. So, what was her name? Sparks was her last name. The real good one that played for LA.
Well, that's the name of the team, LA Speed. Lisa Leslie.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. So, yep. So those are the only ones I can name off the top of my head. So it's just like, and that's not a slouch on the WNBA. I just don't watch it. And then the question is, why don't you watch it, Sonny? Because I don't want to. Okay. I don't have a good reason except for the fact I don't want to. But hey,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how
people are entitled to watch what they want to watch. Like
I guess so.
people that don't watch the NFL, you don't.
We think they're crazy.
Yeah, we don't go around. Hey, why don't you watch the NFL?
Yeah, it's just
And
like
then stare at them like they're crazy or that
What do you
that
mean you
they
don't?
gotta
What do
give
you mean you don't know who Peyton Manning is?
Right. You live on a rock if you don't know who Peyton Manning is. But
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Look, for people that are saying, again, I don't want to get too political. People like, oh, if it was LeBron, if it was Tom Brady. Well, you know what? You know the other thing about LeBron and Tom Brady, they haven't publicly bashed the U.S. government either, like you did. So,
well, that I I didn't necessarily know that until I did a little research on that, and yes, you make a valid point there. So
yeah.
that,
So how about that? You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like we could do apples to oranges all day.
yeah.
The point is, she broke a law in another country.
The point is that today's world, they don't make people take responsibility for their actions. That's what's going on in today's world when you just kind of look at this as a whole. It just comes back into, and my brother says this on the entitlement. Oh, it was only it was only that, but it was still against the law. So, and plus you're in a foreign country. You need to know laws before you're walking in there. I mean, I'm sorry. I knew that Russia is not on the marijuana bandwagon like we are here in the States. I know this. Okay. There are many countries that are still not on that bandwagon and are probably not going to get off in my lifetime. So, and I'm not known as a political guy, but I know marijuana is illegal in many, many countries across this world. So I would think I would do, if I partook in something like that, I think I'd do my homework. And that's what it is. It's lack of homework and a little bit of stupidity on top of it. So
yeah. Well, and I thought she went over there to go play basketball anyways.
She did.
Like, what is she doing with,
She goes over there to supplement her income because the amount of money she's not making. That was another one of the LeBron James things. Well, if she was making $42 million, she wouldn't be over there. So why aren't we paying the WNBA players a little higher? Well, because no one goes. Okay. See, we can dance around the facts of it. But the reason why the WNBA women don't make as much as the men's do, because people don't go see it, and people don't watch it on TV. And that's as brass knucks as it is, has nothing to do with the fact that you're a woman. If people watched it, they would pay them. And it's just like minor leagues. They don't have minor leagues on TV. They don't make any money. It's the same thing. You only get paid what you can draw, especially in sports. I mean, $62 million for Damian Lillard. I mean, evidently the NBA is doing something right. So
he's doing something right.
Well, he's doing something right, but the fact that you can pay someone $62 million, hell, that would have been a roster. That would have been more than a roster amount, not more than 10 years ago. Cuervo, think about that. $62 million would be a roster for an NBA team 10 years ago. I would think. I might be off on the dates, but 10 years ago, the most you would be paying is $60 million or $50 million. I don't know. It just $62 million. Now that's a hell of a payday.
Yeah,
it's good if you can get it. But now the question it will be sooner or later is when will he get out of the fact that he's going to do it for money? Now, well, I mean, he signed the max contract 3 years ago, making $45 million. He was the highest. Actually, Damian Lillard at one point was the highest paid NBA player for like a year, for 2 years because of his max contract. But now he's going to be the highest, but he plays for Portland, and we go back to what have they done, which is not much. So it makes me kind of wonder how long it'll be before he plays with LeBron James.
Anyway. LeBron to Portland, huh?
or wherever Bronny and Braun is, maybe they head that way. I don't know. So 2 years for Bronny, right? He'll be in 2 years. You got to do this. No, it's 1 year.
So,
They
yeah.
only do 1 year. He could come next year, actually. Yeah. So, well, 2 years. I mean, 62 million. I love you, Bron, but 62 mil. She's gonna say right here. So, all right, my man. Your woman is sleeping. Oh, she did the night shift. So that's why early was better for you this week.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing for next week too?
No.
Nope.
No, this was just an extra shift she picked up to make some
Okay.
money.
Well, we'll play that by ear. We got all day because I ain't doing nothing. So next Sunday. So whatever time you pick, let me know. We'll set it up for that time.
Okay.
Anything else? I think we cleared the bases, as they say in baseball. God, it's sad when the only thing that's on is really. By the way, you got to get ESPN Plus, and not just for the documentaries. CUERVO, you're the cage fighter guy watcher, aren't you? They got those on there all the time for free. They have some that you have to pay for, but they got a lot of them on there for free. Live watching this thing. Now I don't get into it, so I don't watch it, but I see it on the thing. It's something to watch live, and it's free. I'm like, you got to get yourself some ESPN Plus, man.
Yeah, I had it. I think I borrow my brother's now because he has it. So I just use his account.
There you go. That's how you do it. Steal it. Hey, what's the password, man? Next time, tell me what you're going to change the password.
Yeah.
Piggybacking. That's life. Yep. I know all about piggybacking. I do it myself. So only live TV I watch is the NFL and wrestling. That's it. So, and I don't even watch wrestling live. I usually watch it the next day. Wrestling. I watch the pay-per-views usually live. But outside of that, it is what it is. So, all right, my man, that's going to do it for us. I mean, a good day. Had a lot of fun. Always good to see you. You were pretty much on time. You weren't late, per se. Well, you were a little late, but I still expected it. It's not like it's anything new. So, I usually go off on a tangent before you get in here anyway. So
I checked in. Yeah, exactly. That's why I wait. I checked in. That was about 20 minutes after the show started.
Yeah, that wasn't too. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, "Holy cow, there he is!" I wasn't even done.
I was still doing a little grocery because I'm gonna make dinner tonight.
Oh, what you making? What you making?
I am making a tri-tip. It's like brisket. It's a little different.
I was gonna say that's beef.
Yeah, it's a piece of beef. It's called tri-tip meat. Like I said, kind of like brisket.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, you slice it after it's done cooking, and with some rice on the side.
I'm getting into olive oil, green beans. Love them. My wife makes it all the time. Olive oil, green beans, and they good. I don't know how she does it. I gotta learn how. So because I could just sit and have that for dinner. So good. But, all right, that's gonna do it for us here on the Couch Potato Sports Show.
Yes, sir.
Wow. 3 hours with you today. Not bad. Doing good. So we'll catch you. Let me know what time for next week. We'll set it up, get it into the poster, get set, and ready to rock and roll. And if anything comes up where we decide to do it during the week, we'll do that. If not, I don't think anything's going to happen to Blockbuster. That would have been the Baker Mayfield thing. So but, I'm still, wow. That one's still, it's a head shaker over here for me.
Yeah, we're still digesting that one, right?
I can't wait until week 1. They got the Browns and Panthers week 1.
Yep.
And so I read that the Browns are paying Baker $533,000 to try to beat them. I guess that's the money commitment they have for that game. So $533,000 is to try to beat
crazy.
Them. Interesting. I can't wait till week 1. We'll see. That should be good. All right, that's going to do it for us, everybody. Have yourself a good one. Catch you next week on the Couch Potato Sports Show. And that being said, have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.